This episode of Texas Barons Podcast is brought to you by our first unofficial sponsor, White Realty. Are you looking to start, move, or expand your business to downtown Wichita Falls? Look no further than White Realty. White Realty owns and operates four of the most prominent buildings in downtown Wichita Falls area: the Hamilton Building, the Energy Center, the Oil and Gas Building, and City National Bank. White Realty has tenants of all kinds: lawyers, counselors, restaurants, and even someone that sells comic books. There's so many different options and floor plans available for any type of business you have. And if that's not enough, or you're not in need of an office space but need a large event room to host parties, proms, or weddings, check out the ballroom on top of the Hamilton Building. Again, that's a White Realty here in Wichita Falls. And don't forget to mention my name, Levi Watts, at your lease signing to take advantage of their referral program and get up to half off your first month's rent. Texas Barons Podcast, let's go.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Kick everything off, I have Selena Mize here, and Selena is I don't say this lightly, professional muralist. Is that the right term for it? Muralist?
Yeah, that's the term.
And then so she's been doing this for quite some time now. What, a total of 4 or 5 years professionally?
I would say it's closer to 2.5, 3.
Cool. And then so we don't have to start 2 years ago from now, but I want you to kind of just start in. I want to hear your story and then tell me, did you know from like a teeny tiny age that you were all about the art? I mean, or were you a young lady? Was it just 2 years ago? When did you figure out like you have the hand and the knack for this?
I would say it did start whenever I was younger. So I grew up with a very creative grandmother.
Yeah.
My dad's mom, my Nana, she and my papa like played a really significant role in the arts, like how the arts mean so much to me.
Yeah.
Because she like sewed, she painted, she like crafted things in the house, and I grew up around that.
Yeah, cool. A lot of things were by hand then?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And she bought me like, how to draw cartoons books, those really old books of how you draw like horses and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no, I got one of those from my Nana.
Cool.
And she got me like sketchbooks and like pencils and stuff. And my mom also really like wanted me to pursue the arts whenever I was younger.
So you had a lot of good support system around it then.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't know it's what I wanted to do
Right.
like in the future, but I really loved to do it at a young age as a little girl.
Like a teenager or like under 10?
I would say younger than that.
Cool.
I would say I was probably like 5 years old or so.
Cool.
And then I was like, I want to be a cartoonist. I want to go work for Walt Disney, Disney, company, or like a DreamWorks. I wanted to help with the animation.
Yeah.
Is what my first goal was.
Cool.
And then obviously things change from
Right.
then.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you learn and grow as you go for sure, and then you kind of realize like what's practical and what's the most efficient way to do it. But that's cool. So you had a good support system from the get-go, because I feel like a lot of artists. And it not just painters, but musicians or comedians. A lot of people that go into the art, so to say, get a lot of backlash. Like, that's a dumb idea. Why are you doing that? You need to go be a doctor or go work at the factory, whatever. So
No, I was told also from some people that I would never make any money.
So you had both sides of it. Okay, well, good for you for picking what you wanted to hear out of that and then not letting it dig you into a grave, because so many people, whether it be a mom or a dad or close friends, are like, that's just stupid, dude. Just don't. Like, that's a dumb idea. Or they'll laugh at you. And then so it's like, I don't want to share any private information with you anymore, or like share my dreams with you.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, tell me what, besides just like liking it and drawing it, you ended up going to college for it. But then tell me, did anything important happen from the time of just doing these little books that your grandma got you up until going to MSU? Did you ever make any money, or did you get any big highlights? What happened?
I would say I was doing like small commissions throughout middle school and high school.
Okay.
Obviously not like big money commissions, but small enough to where I made like $50 off this one painting, or like $30 off this one drawing.
Cool. And were you doing like canvas stuff?
No, I was strictly graphite and paper.
Okay.
So I really didn't paint well until, like, in high school, you have to, like, paint with acrylics and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, I thought it was really fun, but it wasn't for me at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't really hone that artistic ability.
Right. And then so in the typical high school art class, like, did you feel like you were getting a lot out of it, or it was just like, this is dumb or watered down?
It was my favorite class to be a part of.
Cool. And you had a supportive teacher?
I did.
Cool.
Mr. Cook.
Nice. Shout out Mr. Cook.
Yes, Mr. Cook. If you ever, listen to this, shout out to you.
You'll see it one day, Mr. Cook. But that's awesome. So, it was just all one style. When did you start breaking out into the actual painting? Like, when did you start going, I think I have a knack for this building size shit?
Oh, man.
You were deep into it?
That was after college.
Okay. So I'll back up. So from high school, you already had a good family support on one side, and then you had a good teacher and knew that you're enjoying it. I feel like most high school kids go through like 10,000 different ideas of what they want to major in or what they're going to do. Were you pretty locked in on going to school for art?
Yeah, I would say I was pretty locked in. Mr. Cook actually helped me, fill out scholarship stuff for MSU. Cool. And, with his help, I got interviews with some of the professors at MSU and, landed the scholarships. And I don't know, I would say he's been a big supporter. Cool. He's come to some of my shows.
Nice.
Anytime he sees a mural of mine, pop up, he's like, oh my God. He texts me, he's like, oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
Way to go.
That's awesome. So you said something cool just now. What kind of scholarships are available to kids wanting to go to school for art? I didn't even know that existed,
It was like a private scholarship, I think. I can't remember the exact name because it's been so long. But it was like the Lamar D. Fain Art Scholarship that I filled out. It was accessible to high school students wanting to pursue the arts. And I think whenever you were already in the college as an art student, you can apply over again.
Cool.
So
nice. So you got a little help going to school then. So, I feel like if you handle it correctly, you take it more serious when someone else's money is helping you out.
Exactly.
And then so I didn't wing everything. I just went through the normal go to college, get the not the scholarships, just the student loans. And then I went to Vernon, I think one semester. I did some Vernon classes in high school. I don't even know if I passed those or not. And then I went to Vernon for a semester, dropped 2 classes, got yelled at by Dad. And then I think I ended up passing one of them that I kept, but I just hated it. I couldn't get out of there quicker. But so did you immediately go to MSU? And for people that don't know, Vernon and MSU are here in Wichita Falls. Vernon's a smaller community campus, but MSU's a D2 school, I think, anyways. But
I don't know. It's changed so much since
right.
I've been in college.
Did you just jump right into MSU?
I did. Okay. Once I graduated from Burnett High School in 2013, coming up on that 10-year reunion next year.
Don't remind me. Same here, dude.
I went straight into, college the fall of 2013 as a freshman.
Yeah.
I didn't have any college credits, I was fresh, clean slate, pretty much.
Gotcha. Well, were you lucky enough to just get right into at least some art classes, or did you have to do the boring, what do they call it, basics? And
it was both.
God, that's just horrible. I can't believe that they make you pay for a class for like walking or bowling or whatever. You have to have a physical fitness type of thing. And when people tell me, and Raquel has more experience than I do with it, that I think she had a walking class or a running class or whatever, and I'm just like, they forced you to pay for that, and the whole time you wanted to learn about the arts, It's so.
Yeah,
anyways.
it was required to take like a PE course, but I took badminton.
Okay, yeah,
and it was fun.
Okay, we should go to the YMCA sometime and see if we can get one of the racquetball courts rented out and try it.
I bet I'm so rusty, but best time.
I used to watch Robin Hood. Do you remember that cartoon? It was with the fox and the bear and the old one. And then they played badminton on there. And I always wanted to try it from there. And I'd see people like, we'd go to birthday parties or something and they'd have a crappy setup. And I was like, this is way worse than tennis. Why would anyone want to play this? But I don't know. It just random thought. But then did you get through MSU pretty quick? Did you have any trouble with that? I mean, did you meet anybody good? Tell me about your experience and school art related.
I really, really loved school. So
were you a good student in high school and everything too?
I would say so.
I'm a
yeah.
Nerd. I'm just kidding.
I took my studies very seriously, and I put my all into my art courses.
Cool.
Especially the ones that I was not good at, like the 3D, portions of it, like sculpture, ceramics.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was not good at any of that.
Right.
The 2D stuff I really, really enjoyed, obviously, for, reasons, because it benefited me in the long run.
You just were you just drawn to that, the more 2D stuff?
Yeah.
And then you just had more experience with it maybe, or like, I mean, because you weren't 5 or 6 painting murals. So you just felt more drawn in by that. I don't want to say simple because it's far from simple. I've seen you work, but the flat stuff, so to say.
Yeah. I can't think in 3D.
Yeah.
Making something at all angles.
Yeah.
It's just easier for me to paint something that looks like it's 3D, but it's not.
Got you.
Instead of working with the tools to make, I don't know how to explain it.
I've seen a friend of mine's grandmother, Coulter. If you ever hear this, you know what I'm talking about. Larry, you probably do too. But Coulter's grandmother, she had a Jesus head, and it was about the same size as my head. And when I first met her, she was working on it, and it was all clay. And then I saw her throughout the years, and I'd see the piece throughout the years. But then it was like 5 years go by, I think. And she still had the Jesus head in clay. It was still in the tweaking phase, and she was still working on the little features. And I was like, oh my God, I thought you'd be done by that. But I didn't understand how in-depth and how detailed and hard that stuff is. I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. I've never seen it before. And but cool news, I have some gentleman, I'll keep it a secret for now. I'll look him up whenever we leave and show you. But he's from Texas, and he's coming here on the podcast, and then he makes clay and then bronze sculptures, and then does charcoal hand drawings. And it's all kind of cowboys and Indian type stuff, and the dude's a killer. So I'm going to get lucky enough to hear you on the 2D scale, and then in a couple of weeks hear from him on the 3D scale. So yeah, we'll get to get the full realm of everything. But anyway, so you're drawn into the 2D stuff, and then did you just have to kind of get by doing the 3D sculptures and stuff?
It was required of us to take those classes.
Yeah, just one of those like algebra or whatever. You just got to...
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
But I was not good
just
at
not
it.
the best at it. I got you. Okay, well, that's fair. Well, so, I mean, when you were in school, did you see, like, because I'm just going to be upfront with you, I consider you like a Michael Jordan of muralists, and I've been looking too.
Wow.
I'm on a new kick on Instagram where I'm looking for your peers and your colleagues that a lot of them already, and I'm being dead serious here. You're one of the best I've ever seen. And
thank you.
So did you notice like, oh man, I'm like getting ahead of a lot of these classmates, or did you have some really good peers with you the whole time to kind of help you learn as y'all went?
I had a lot of good peers, especially like in painting classes. I had like a lot of like, I would call them like the big sisters that helped me. And 2 of them in particular, shout out to Logan and Katie. They helped me a lot to,
Cool.
I would ask them like, what paint should I use for this? Like, all kinds of information if they could give it to me. I took it under.
And were they cool about it, or were they like, hey, piss off, I had to learn the hard way?
Oh, no, they were cool about it.
Who would have ever thought that helping the people that are interested in the same thing you are would work out so well for everybody? Like that's just luckily what our generation's figuring out is like, oh, wait, we can go farther together. And then they probably didn't even know how much potential you had going forward, but they just was like, I've been in Selena's shoes before and I'm going to help her. Maybe someone helped them, so maybe they didn't. And then they had to come up the hard way and they're like, no, this is dumb. Like if someone wants our help, then yeah, we're going to help them. So good for them for, not being dicks about it and, and then helping you out. So, I
also had like a lot of other classmates that not praised me, but they gave me words of affirmation.
Cool.
To let me know that I was doing a good job.
Cool. And do you respond well to that? Because like, I don't know, I kind of have to get it beat into my head whenever Raquel gives me compliments over this or that.
I would say I'm the same.
Yeah, it almost feels unnatural if you're not, I don't know. And I grew up with a pretty supporting family, but I don't know. It just seems weird when you're like, is this really real? Are all my peers like this supportive, or are they just being nice? Because is it bad, and they're just being sweet to me, No,
I understand 100%.
Yeah, well,
and relate to that.
Yeah, it's a weird world, and then I feel like people can get competitive, and I'm at fault for this too. But like, you'll be around peers doing the same thing and be like, and I don't know. I compare myself poorly to others. Like I say poorly, like, because it's just not a good thing to compare to. It's just you versus you, And then so, anyways.
Yeah, I am my own worst enemy.
Yeah, I'm just your biggest critic, and enemy is a good word for it. But then, on the other hand, I don't know about you, I can be my biggest fan at the same time. Be like, yeah, my shit don't stink, So, but then that can get you in trouble too if you let your ego feed you a little too much, So
I try to stay very humble about my work.
You have to, just to keep yourself in check so nobody else keeps you in check.
Exactly.
And then, so you had good experiences at MSU. But you didn't graduate and immediately go into to be a self-employed person. And, that's kind of what this podcast is all about, especially how you and I have a similar story. We worked at a pretty good job and then left that good job to go to work for ourselves. And then so tell me about graduating MSU. Did you have any trouble graduating? And then tell me what happened from graduation up until 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
Because that's right about when you went. Okay.
Yeah.
So from graduation, when did you graduate?
I graduated in May 2018.
So did you just do the 4 or 5 years?
I did.
Okay.
So the thing with the arts, with the way MSU lays out the art program is that you cannot take more than 3 studio courses. I don't know if it's changed since then, but if you did take more than 3, you would have to get like a waiver for the dean to sign.
A semester? Is that what you're saying?
A semester.
Okay.
Yeah. I try to stick with 3 just because 4 studio classes
seems hectic.
It's overwhelming.
And that's 4 completely different arts?
Yeah.
Or 3, whatever.
Yeah, and usually a studio class is about 3 hours long.
Golly, a day?
Yeah.
God.
Well, per class.
Yeah.
But it would go by, fast if you really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
which,
that's true.
The time flew by. And I had no problems with taking studio classes, but it's just like the extra basics that you have to take really kind of slow you down.
Yeah, for sure. And I can see it.
Unnecessary classes, I call them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because I had my experience at Vernon, and I was like, this isn't for me because I originally thought that I was going to go to Vernon, get started on a business degree, and then go elsewhere. And then that was a goal. And then I do those boring classes, and I was like, no, I quit. This is stupid. Well, then kind of figured out like, hey, I don't need to be in this normal school. This is just big high school, basically. And then luckily, I was working for my dad at the time, and another gentleman named Mike told me, we were kind of talking about what I was interested in, and he knew that I was more leaning towards hands-on, like fixing things. And he said, you need to check out TSTC, Texas State Technical College. And so, okay, yeah, I'll check it out. And went to looking through their courses, and they had like 100 different courses. But their big thing was you can, for majority of their majors, was you can go for a year and then get your certification, or you can stay for, I guess, 2 years and then get your associates. And then so they had different options, and I was like, I don't need a degree. I can just go get that certification. And so that's what I did. I did all the lab classes, all the shop classes, and I didn't talk one bit about algebra. I didn't do no remedial classes. I didn't write no letters, nothing. And so that's what benefited me, and I got in, and I knew my main goal was to just get a job. Just get the education and get a job. That's all I cared about, was making the money. And then so that helped me out big time, because I wasn't slowed down by a PE class or a English class. So, and they told me my what is it, not the dean, but the head over your department or whatever that is.
The chair.
Yeah, that guy. He was like, we have a lot of kids come here, do their certification, and then they come back a couple years later because they want to be a manager or a plant manager or whatever. And I was like, I'll talk to you then, because I'm deucing out. I need to get out of here and go make some money. So
don't blame you
and
at all.
I don't know. I would be interested to see if TSTC in Waco had any art classes. I bet they do now. Just I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Maybe not. They're pretty big at welding and industrial type of stuff like that. But anyway, so you got done. I mean, did you fail any classes? Did you have to retake anything?
No.
Streamlined it pretty quick. You were a good student then.
I want to say yes, I was a good student, but I got my first C ever in my life.
Really?
In government.
Oh, man.
And it was the worst time I've ever had.
I mean, U.S. government?
Yeah, U.S. government.
What was so bad about it?
We had to do like presentations, and I don't like public speaking. Like it is not my strong suit.
And here you are right now, public speaking.
Well, this is different.
This is better. Yeah.
Yeah, this is better.
Yeah.
But no, U.S. government really like kicked my ass.
Yeah.
And I also was not very interested in it, so I had a very hard time concentrating.
Just giving a crap about it.
Yeah, because my studio class was like right after, and it's like, oh man, only like 30 more minutes.
Yeah, what am I going to do in there, and how am I going to add to this, and this?
Exactly, exactly.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you not one bit. But I mean, now you almost need a major or minor in government to understand what the heck's going on just on a day-to-day. And if you do, then it's kind of like what we were talking with Brittany. You can do all the right things, and you're just going to stress yourself out trying to convince somebody or see through or see something through your eyes. So yeah, just almost better to stay out of it. So
Truly.
Who cares about that class, because you didn't go into government. You went into the arts.
I did not go into government.
You knew what was important to you, and it sounds like you just put your head down and then got it done. So, and very respectable, very commendable. A lot of people with good stories, sometimes they have to go the long way around, and then it takes a long time to get where they are. Maybe they're just not focused, or maybe they're not dedicated. And it sounds like you knew where you're going and then went there quick.
Like I said, I loved school.
Yeah.
Took my studies very seriously.
Cool.
It's just government just was not my forte.
Right.
But
so you graduated in 15, and then
May
what?
2018.
Or 18. What happened after graduation?
Well, I'll be honest. It was kind of a sad time because I didn't know where I was going.
Right.
I was working at a gas station. I was working at
Which one?
a bar. I was working at United Express off Jacksboro.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
One of my former managers from United Supermarkets in Burke Burnett, she's the manager there, and she was like, I'd love to have you come work for me if you need some extra money. So went and worked for her, and then I worked at Half Pint for a year or two. I can't really remember. The timeline is so fuzzy. But yeah, I was just really working these two jobs and doing like small commissions on the side to make ends meet. And
it's like kind of canvas stuff, just smaller stuff.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like paintings or like drawings, whatever, the people wanted at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no sense of direction at all.
Was that weird for you? Because I feel like you knew from a young point, like, yeah, I'm going for this reason.
Yeah, I just didn't know what the next step was.
Right.
I really wanted to paint. I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And never in a million years would I thought that I would be painting the stuff that I paint now.
Right. Okay. What were you interested in?
I just wanted to do like canvas portraits.
Okay.
Or like portraits of people's dogs.
Gotcha.
Like the smaller stuff.
Just simple stuff. Yeah. I mean, and the stuff, everyone's going to see it if you can follow my new Instagram that is probably going to go live very soon after this conversation. But Selena brought some amazing pieces here to hang up, and you can look at it and just see the detail and see how amazing these pieces are. And it's not to be taken lightly how great these are, but to go from this 24 by 24, whatever it is, to 2,700 square foot, man, what a jump. That's two completely different animals, huh?
Surprised all the time.
Yeah. And then I'm sure they get bigger and smaller. I've seen you do that was probably 10 by 10 over there across the street whenever I first met y'all.
Oh, yeah, 9 by 10.
Yeah, 9 by 10. And then to hear your story about this, and we're going to get to this, in Vernon, that building was humongous. And you, from tip to tip, got it covered. So, I mean, what was the breaking point? I mean, I know that you didn't stay at the gas station and you're not working at Highlander anymore. What happened to get you over that edge? What pushed you?
Well, I got a call from, at the time, her name was Audra Lambert, and she was the projects manager of the Wichita Falls Alliance for Arts and Culture.
Cool.
And the Wichita Falls Alliance for Arts and Culture is basically here to like get artist work and get artists out there and like form communities between artists in these different towns.
Cool.
Is basically what their job is. So Audra calls me while I'm like at work on my shift at the gas station, and she's like, hey, if you have any time, please come by the Alliance.
How did she know about you? From MSU?
Yes.
Cool.
Actually, she graduated the year that I went into MSU.
Okay.
So
so she's not much older than we are.
No.
Okay, cool.
So
cool.
she knew me in passing. I've also did like some commission work for 9th Street Studios before she contacted me.
Cool.
For Dias de la, I'm just going to say it in English, Day of the Dead.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
For Day of the Dead.
We're going to get to that part too.
Yeah. And I think 9th Street Studios recommended me to her.
Okay.
So I think without Ricky.
Shout out Becky.
Yeah, shout out Becky. I probably would not be where I am also today.
Or maybe just it would have took a different route.
Yeah, it would have took a different route. So, yeah, Audra was like, hey, can you come to the Alliance? We want to discuss something big with you. And I was like in my head, I was like a painting, I was like, yeah, I get off, such and such. I'll be there. So I went there, I met with them. And they were telling me about this mural project that they were, spearheading in the East Side Mural Project. And
East side of Wichita Falls?
Yes, okay. East side of Wichita Falls. Mm-hmm. They were telling me like how they wanted me to like paint a mural. And I was like, I've never painted a mural. Mm-hmm. Which also, at the time, I kind of helped with one whenever I was in college, but I was 22 years old. Mm-hmm. My priorities were not right at the time, especially like during break, like Christmas break. I was going out, drinking with my friends.
Just being a kid, hanging out.
Yeah, I was being a young adult, as young adults do at that age. So I had some experience, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we really want you to do it because you're good at portrait work. And I was like, well, I've never painted something that size. Like, how do you know if I'm the right one to do this?
Right.
And they're like, I mean, we are trusting you and you've come highly recommended. And I was like, I don't think so. Like, I literally was like, no, I don't want to do it.
Dang. And okay.
They were like, no, you're going to do it.
Wow. So they put their thumb down on you. They believed in you more than you did at the time.
Yeah, they pushed me to do this project. Cool. And now I'm so glad that they did.
Is it the one on Martin Luther King on the intersection?
Which one? The one that I did?
Yeah, the one that we're talking about right now. Is it the one kind of close to that YMCA building down there? I think they have Boys and Girls Club gym down there.
It is off of Harding and Rosewood.
Okay.
So it is a gas station that they had me paint.
Okay.
And the mural wraps around all 4 sides.
Okay.
So it covers it completely. And there's 4 portraits on the building, and it's really bright, really colorful. You cannot miss it.
Okay.
But that was my project for the East Side Mural project that they spearheaded.
Cool. And did you do all 4, or was it like you got your own wall, or?
No. So I had 2 other girls help me
on
the project. 2 other local artists, Breon Thompson and Aaron Campbell. They helped me paint the building.
Okay.
Yeah. And that took a couple of months because we were all working our own jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was your first big project. You didn't know time management. You didn't know supplies. You didn't know any of this. This was a completely new animal for you. So was that, what am I looking for? Was that like hard to kind of grasp, or was it terrifying to go from these 20 by 20 paintings, 20 inch by 20 inch paintings to the whole building?
It was intimidating.
Yeah.
But it was also such a good adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Because once you're like in it, then you're in it.
Yeah.
I was like in the zone. There were many days that I did not eat, many days I did not drink anything while I was painting in the hot summer sun.
Just going.
I was just painting a storm.
I'm so glad that you just said that, because I wanted to bring up, have you seen that movie? I think it's called Soul on Disney Plus.
Yeah, great movie.
And he talks about when he's a jazz musician, and whenever he gets in the zone and it takes him to another, basically another dimension, he's in his head and he's just playing for himself. I wanted to ask you if you as a painter could do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
it
interesting.
Happens very often.
Cool. That's good to know, though. I didn't, and but that for whatever reason that popped up in my brain. I was like, I wonder if Selena or someone like Selena can do that.
I got to put my headphones on and concentrate.
What do you listen to whenever you?
I listen to a lot of movie scores.
Okay.
So like composers like Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
Chris Bowers, John Powell.
Huh.
I don't really like to listen to a lot of music with words.
Okay.
Because I get distracted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if it's instrumental, it like helps me concentrate.
I got you. You can just kind of get in your own brain.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, so how did the first mural go? I mean, one, you made this great connection with this group here in town, but then, and what was their name? What was the full title of their name?
Wichita Falls Alliance for Arts and Culture.
Yeah. So you built a new connection with them. You're networking now, and then now you even worked with 2 other artists. I mean, are you just on cloud 9 because your dreams are coming true, or are you like terrified that you're not ever going to get to do it again? What's going through your brain at this point?
I was terrified.
Yeah, because you were so high, how are you going to get to keep doing what you love to do now?
Yeah. So after we finished that mural, I got to connect with a lot of people in the community as well and get to talk to them. And they were telling me like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for painting this building. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad people love it. Mm-hmm. Like it's really affected the community so positively. And
Good.
I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, because did you catch any flack, or like, did anyone give you all a hard time about being over there in that side of?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I felt very safe painting over there.
Good, and I'm glad that they supported you as well.
People fed us. People gave us water.
Cool. That's awesome. Look at that community coming together and just helping. I mean, y'all were strangers to them at that point, and then they were just appreciative of y'all's work. That is a freaking great story. So good. I'm glad to hear all that. And then, so what happens next?
We had a dedication for the mural, and I, had to make a speech and all this stuff.
How'd that go?
That was nerve-wracking.
The first one?
First one.
Cool.
And after that, the East Side Mural project that I did sparked a lot of hope, I guess, in the city of Vernon. So that comes in later.
Yeah.
But they saw the article about that, I think, and they were like, we want some public art.
Cool.
So after that, I got some jobs from Rand Bowling Company.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
And then Half Pint as well, Hook and Ladder, stone oven, and like a lot of private, murals for private clients.
But what great people, I mean, those are, I think I can say titans of downtown Wichita Falls, those businesses, and they're wanting you to be part of their business forever, basically, with that. That's awesome. So
yeah,
it just took one lick, and then you were there.
It took 20 seconds of insane courage to do that, to say, okay, yeah, I'll do that mural.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. I mean, and it took you out of your comfort zone, and you were nervous to do it, and you even had to make a speech, but look how well it worked out,
Oh, man.
And then so you got these commissions, but then how quick did Vernon act on anything?
I am not sure of the timeline, because that was between Vernon and the Alliance.
Gotcha.
They were they were collaborating on this project.
Right.
So it could have been a year, it could have been 6 months that they were talking about putting a mural in Vernon, but I got asked to do it, I think in February of 2020.
Okay.
And draft up a design and a couple of designs for them to look at. And then, we moved forward with the project in September and painted this massive wall.
Humongous. And you can see it on our Instagram.
It is 110 feet long by 25 feet tall.
Oh my gosh.
It is 2,750 square feet of just paint now.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, I should have asked with the first one, but I've wanted to know how you get your idea onto the wall, because I've seen you and some other people's work now that you at least have somewhat of an outline going on, but then I've seen other people, they like to use projectors. Maybe they built it already small and then they project it out. What's your method to your madness to get something small or something that may just be locked in your brain on a wall?
There's a couple of methods that people use. I like to use the projector just because sketching that large, you mess up.
Yeah.
No one can perfectly sketch something that large. Whenever you're up personal to the wall and you're drawing an eye, you got to step back and be oh, that eye is kind of wonky looking.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Use a projector. I've used a grid method before, but I am one of those artists that like to throw it on the wall as fast as possible so I could paint as fast as possible.
Okay.
I don't like to carefully map it out with some lines. I want to get it done.
And have to go A1, B1.
Yeah. I want to get it on the wall so I could, paint it ASAP.
Okay. So, do you like to get up there and then do you throw a rough draft up there and then step back and be like, what do I need to dial in now? Does that make sense?
Whenever I put my image on the wall?
Yeah. Whenever you get paint on the surface, and then do you do a rough draft at first and then start honing it in with different effects
Yeah, sort of. There were times whenever I was working on a couple of murals that I had to change the colors because they just did not look right next to each other.
Right.
Had to remix some colors. Had to tweak colors to make it the way that I want it to be.
I gotcha. I was watching you, and I've brought this up with Raquel probably 100,000 times now. When we were at, what was the event called? I don't want to mess it up.
Loco for Cinco.
This on Travis Street in Wichita Falls. Selena was painting this humongous painting, and I was sitting there watching you. My wife and your girlfriend are talking the whole time, and I'm just locked in on you. Selena's 10 foot up on a ladder, and I'm watching her hands work, and I'm thinking, I can see this whole thing. I'm stepped back, you're super dialed in, and I can see it. And so it makes sense to me, but I'm thinking of looking through your eyes, and you're just like how you just said. You're just seeing a small frame, but I saw your outlines of, whatever it was, pencil or your first markings on there. And what I thought was so impressive that I haven't shut up about is that you were kind of improvising as you went. I could see your hand and you followed the line, and I could tell you didn't like something, and you brought your hand over it and kind of filled it in. And then maybe you picked up another brush and then added straight to it or right behind that. And I was like, you were literally improvising as you go on a humongous scale. It's not just like you were drawing Tom Brady's face, you know, on a small canvas. Like, I was just so highly impressed by you working as you go, and it not, you know, being a train wreck like most people that would attempt to do that, you know. Anyways, sorry, highly impressed. Cool. I went on a little tangent, but I just had to get that out to you that I was just mesmerized by it. But then so you get involved with this Vernon project, or at least the Alliance reaches out to you that they think you'd be a good fit for this in 2020. And then so tell me how it went down, and then now you're working with the Alliance and a bigger city. How was that as a young person that you're just kind of getting your feet wet at this point?
It was still very shocking.
Yeah.
I also, you know, it's like the imposter syndrome. Like,
yeah.
Are you sure you want me to do this? Because Vernon wanted me to paint this, you know, mural of Roy Orbison, and because of my portrait work from previous projects and like my other smaller work, like my smaller paintings, like I paint faces. Like, I like to paint people's faces. Yeah. It's something I've always really enjoyed. Faces with color. Mm-hmm. But after, you know, getting this project and starting on it, you don't realize how massive it is until, like I said, you're up close and personal with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and tell me, like, even if you're trying to cover a huge area at one time, what's the biggest brush that you use at once? Besides a roller, not a roller. What's the biggest?
Like for detail work, like his face?
Yeah.
2 inches.
Yeah. So imagine dragging a 2-inch anything over 2,700 square foot. Like, it just seems daunting of a task to do.
I am one of those people, like, I like to work with smaller tools and not big tools. Yeah. I had 2 helpers, like, help me with this mural.
Cool.
And they filled in a lot of the larger blocks of color.
Cool.
So whenever I was working on the face, they were filling in, like, the large sections of purple and green and orange for me.
Now, you were telling me about one person the other day that was helping you, but did you have to find these people, or did the Alliance give helpers to you? Did you have to pay them? This is a small business question now.
So the Alliance paid for one of my girls to work with me.
Cool.
An hourly wage. And then Audra, she was my projects manager for the East Side Mural Project.
Right.
She wanted to just paint. Like, she's like, I don't want to get paid. I just want to go and paint and, you know, help you and Krissa get this mural on the wall.
Cool.
But the Alliance paid for Chris's, you know, labor.
I gotcha. Well, and then so now I've just strummed up another question was, you didn't do this for free.
No, I did not.
And then this was really the breaking into you being your own businesswoman. And how did you come up with a proper bid to do this? And then you had to run it through the Alliance. I'm sure the Alliance handled all the financial, correct?
Yes.
And then so tell us, like, how nerve-wracking one was it for the first time to be saying, like, I guess it wasn't your first time accepting money for your paint, but
it was my first time to paint on something that large, though.
Right. And then it was probably one of your bigger bills that you've ever sent out to anybody at that point.
Yeah.
And so tell us about your experience, you know.
So
and what did you even consider to make your bid?
So I don't like to do hourly wages per hour, just because I'm a very fast painter, and I don't like to be like, ooh, I'm so fast. I'm a very fast painter, and I feel like if I did like an hourly rate, I would just be losing money.
Right.
So and
it kind of it discredits you a little bit doing stuff hourly, you know?
Yeah, I've never done hourly. Every muralist that I've ever reached out to, especially like in the Denton or Dallas area, I have a lot of friends in like the Denton, Dallas area that I like confide in about pricing.
Cool.
A lot of the time.
So you look to your peers in the exact same.
Yes.
Cool. I agree with you 110%. Reach out to who's doing it with you.
Yeah, and they told me that usually murals, they range from like $10 a square foot to upwards of $50 and more.
Exactly, and that's why being an hourly rate would be so dumb, because each project is so different.
It's different.
And like your starting picture changes per job, and then what we talked about the other day was like your textures, your buildings, your everything changes where you have to drive to, everything changes.
So travel.
So I respect the bidding it per job. That's what I really tried getting into when I was still running heavy equipment. I just think it's bidding. It's just like kind of gambling a little bit, because maybe it's too rich for your potential customers' check, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you hit a real home run over something that that you're the person for the job. So, I mean, was it weird to do that bigger number,
Like the amount of square footage?
No, like when you turn your bid in to get this job and tell them what you would do it for, did you get to set your price on this Vernon job?
Yes, I did.
So was that weird? I mean, to just start working with bigger numbers?
Yeah, it was
nerve-wracking, isn't it?
It was nerve-wracking. It was the most money I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And then that imposter syndrome kind of comes in too.
And I was like, ooh, do I really deserve this?
Yeah.
Or am I just like reaching for a little bit?
Yeah.
But I got what I thought at the time was very fairly for starting out.
You just said it like do I deserve this? And that's what so many people in every genre that they go into battle themselves with. And they're, like we were saying earlier, their own worst enemy is like, well, I can get by not using X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And they discredit themselves, or they don't charge what they're worth. And the fact of the matter is, even if you're not the best muralist or heavy equipment operator, you're still out there and still trying to provide for yourself, so you do deserve it. And then it takes you being boots on the ground working to realize, like, I've been screwing myself this whole time, if you have been discrediting yourself,
Yeah.
And that's just an entrepreneur's, not every single one of them has to do it, but that's just something that we all kind of fall guilty of.
It's a learning process.
It is,
for sure.
Yeah. And then so don't let it discourage you. If anyone out there is dealing with it yourself, you're going to figure out what you're worth, and then you're going to start charging what you need to provide for your family, and then more. So you don't have to go without just because you're, self-employed.
Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, they accepted it. Did you do a cartwheel? Did you cry? Did you?
I didn't cry. It was, just the next step of being like, okay, we're about to paint this wall.
You're all business then.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I try to separate like the personal from the business.
Okay.
So they accepted my bid, or the Alliance accepted my bid, because the city of Vernon didn't pay me to do this.
Right.
The Alliance paid me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go and paint the wall. We painted in the hot heat. We painted whenever it was cooling down. We painted in cold weather.
Golly, what time of the year? It was September? Is that what you said?
September until the beginning of November. So we saw saw all the seasons in those couple of months.
Golly. And then let's not get into the what's happened of recent yet.
Oh, man.
We don't have to. There's so much more to the story and in between. But then so you got it done.
Yes.
And then what happens with a painter? I'm sure a lot of jobs are different, but like, do they pay you up front for this stuff? Do they half it? Do they pay you after you're done?
They paid me in 3 stipends.
Okay, that's fair.
I guess 3 like installments to paint it.
That's good. That's fair. I mean, just because you need some money to get out there.
Yeah,
you need some money in the
paint.
between. And then, and materials. And luckily that was in 2020 when things were relatively normally priced, it wasn't too crazy, and then gas was decent. So right now that mural could basically double of what your original bid was, just off of gas and paint and everything. So I mean, and it's no small trip from Wichita Falls to Vernon, and like you were saying, was the most boring trip that you made for several months in a row. No
offense, City of Vernon, I really enjoy working with you guys, but the drive is just not my favorite.
I mean, and love Electra to death, but if you blink too quick, you will pass the whole town of Electra, Herald, and all that out there. So yeah,
it was just, I mean, whenever you're like going to the site to paint at the beginning of the day, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, we're ready. But like whenever you paint all day in the sun, you're just tired, and then you got to drive back. And there were many days whenever me and Krissa or Audra never really had them all three, like the two of them at the same time. We were just like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, so tired. I just want to be home so I could take a shower. You know, like that's the part of commuting back and forth.
Yeah.
Is that you're just exhausted from a long work day.
Exactly. And I'm sure you've seen plenty of people. I see it on Snapchat a lot of guys that work on crews, and maybe they go to the shop and clock in and I will park, but then they have to drive to like Electra or wherever. And so many people will fall asleep in the truck just going to their job or going on site or whatever, because a lot of people don't even like respect their own time management and stuff, and then they're sleeping in the truck and just worn out, and then it's even worse at the end of the day because you've worked for 8 hours or 12 hours, whatever it is. Right. So yeah, it's just that not feeling of defeat, but just like, golly, I'm ready for this day to be over. But so when I was a little kid, I had to paint a lot of fence posts. Like, you know, where they tie the barbed wire to the corner of it, and then all those metal posts. And when I was probably like 14 or 13 or 14 anyways, and they gave me the mittens. Have you seen paint mittens?
Yeah, I have.
Horrible. And they're not waterproof. And so you just dip your hand in the bucket, and once you start using it over and over and over, it just seeps through. And who I was working for at the time, their whole farm, everything was deep, dark red.
Oh, wow.
When the paint was wet, it kind of looked like blood. Anyways, you could take that gross mitten off, and then it just looked like you're covered in blood. It was horrible. But you find ways around it. You put plastic bags on your hands. You keep clean. But at least keep your hand a little bit more clean. But what I was getting at was I would come home and just be covered in red paint, and then I'd be sunburnt, and once I cleaned it off, I'd have like white spots all over my arms
from
and
where
stuff.
The paint was?
Yeah, I was wondering, I did it a lot more caveman brute, just get it painted, then you're an artist and do it very delicately. But do you still get covered in paint by the end of the day?
Oh yeah.
Just up there. I mean, and I guess you're fighting wind and stuff too once you get high up on a building.
Yeah, if you're on a scissor lift, I mean, it's like it shakes, you know? Like a scissor lift is pretty stable, but it's also not that stable because the winds in Vernon are always high.
They kind of just rock the whole time. Yeah. Ooh. I can't imagine having to do, I've worked plenty on a scissor lift having to fix stuff at that old factory I was at, but I couldn't imagine doing anything like tedious or something that like really, really mattered how clean cut I did it up on a scissor lift. That's
it was scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you got like a brush in your hand and I mean, I had a harness on that was hooked to the scissor lift, but you're like holding on to the bar and you're like trying to paint, and then you like hear the wind. And then every so often, like Krissa or Audra would be like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm fine." Like, she's like, "Okay." And then they would go off, like they would check on me because, you know, they could tell that the scissor lift was just like kind of rocking. Yeah,
it's just, it's not a good thing to, it's not a good tool to basically do what you were having to do.
I would rather be on a scissor lift than a ladder though.
Yeah.
100%.
That's true, because being up that high on a ladder, oh my God, so many people have horrible stories of just
I don't like working on ladders at all.
Well, you did pretty good the other day when I got to watch you.
Oh,
but that was just, an 8-foot ladder or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But yeah, you get to looking at some of them, like the church I grew up at had a gymnasium that was huge, like super tall, and they wouldn't, it's cheaper to buy a couple $100 ladder than it was for a scissor lift to change light bulbs. And I see that ladder and I'm like, not a chance in hell I'd get up there.
Oh, yeah.
No way at all. And then I have some extended family member, I forget how we're related, but this man was several feet, like 40 feet up in the air on a ladder, and he kicked it out from under himself, and then so he fell straight on his back and broke part of his back. Yeah, it was a horrible ordeal.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, and to think like you're up there, you're just trying to concentrate on your art, you know, on, say you just have a 2-foot by 2-foot frame that you're focusing in on. You don't need to worry about ladder safety. You don't need to be worried about other crap like that. So, but tell me, you may have touched on it the other day. you don't own your own scissor lift, and you probably
don't.
didn't rent it or get a truck to bring it in. How do you correlate these external things that you need to finish your job? Like, who helped you do all that?
So it was part of the budget for the Roy Orbison project to like get a scaffolding. We had scaffolding too while we were out there for a month.
Sketchy.
Yeah, and I mean, whenever I was working, the scissor lift actually was part of the. He let us use it. He was a city commissioner in Vernon, so he was like, "Hey, I got a scissor lift. Do you want to use it?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to be working on a scaffolding while I'm trying to like paint this face, and like you can't whenever the scaffolding's like in front of your piece of artwork, you can't see the overall
That's
image.
true. Good point.
So the scissor lift like helped a lot, and once the scaffolding the rental was up, we just used the scissor lift. Like we just took turns.
Cool.
Like I would work on the bottom of his like shoulders or the guitar, and then they would be up top like painting what was left. So we like worked really well together to, manage like who got it at what time.
And then so you handpicked one of those persons, and then the other just was at the part of the art group that you're working with.
Oh, Audra and Krissa?
Yeah.
I didn't pick them. Krissa was assigned me, but I knew Krissa because we went to college together.
Okay. And you already knew that you could work with her well?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's great.
That's what I was just kind of wondering, like how, so you basically got lucky with that. I mean, because on a humongous project like that, you don't need someone that you don't like or someone that you weren't willing to work with, and then you have to, worry about egos or personalities bond or headbutting each other. So
no, they were very, very easy to work with.
That's good, because something that substantial, you need to focus on the art, and that's it.
Yeah, we have a job and we gotta fulfill it.
And that's the hard part. That's the whole hard part, and why so many people are so scared of hiring people in different jobs, or whether it be just an office assistant or in my old field would be someone to drive a truck for me or whatever. And sometimes it's just so terrifying to think like, oh, they may even be good in an interview, but they may just be a shitty person as soon as the camera gets off of them, or, as soon as the limelight gets off of them. So I'm glad that you don't have to really go into that. You just kind of use your resources that are close to you if you have to.
And like from, painting that project, we met a lot of people, like a lot of local artists in Vernon who was like, hey, if you do another one, I want to help.
Cool.
So
Heck
establishing like some relationships.
Network.
Yeah. Actually, one of the girls that helped me like in the final days of the Roy project, she just wanted to come and volunteer.
Cool.
And she was actually the one that was across from me at Loco for Cinco.
Okay, yeah.
Marie.
I didn't get to meet her, but I think I read her statement as well and got to watch her.
Yeah. Marie Alanis. Shout out to Marie.
Yeah.
But I told her, like, hey, if I ever come back to Vernon and do another project, I will pay you for your time.
Cool. Heck yeah.
And we will, work on this stuff together.
Yeah, heck yeah. So, I mean, I've been learning more and more about other people's experiences, and it just seems that you really cannot go wrong with networking. And for the introverts out there, do you consider yourself an introverted person? Or
I would say
you're kind of in between. That's from the little I know you now, you're kind of a good balance between the two.
I can be pretty reclusive, but when the time is needed, I can be, I can present myself more outwardly.
I mean, and you're doing great right now just talking to me.
Oh,
and
thanks.
Disclaimer, me and Selena have only, talked in person twice now?
About 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times, and then we chit-chat on different socials over just random crap. But, I mean, you're killing it on this. But what I was getting at was, for our introverted friends out there, like, you just have to find something to get you into conversation with other people, whether it just be, hey, how's it going? Like seeing the same people at the gym every single day, just, hey man, how's it going? I'm Levi, by the way, just simple things like that. Luckily, I've always been I grew up with a dad that might as well have been on radio or something, just always talking to somebody, really? Friends with every single person you know. And my problem was he always stayed on the cell phone, just talking to people. People would call him every single second of every single day. And I was with him a lot. So I heard his, what do you call that? Your, phone voice, or your
your community service voice.
That
is
voice,
what we call it.
Yeah, and then I would just hear that and hear his mannerisms, and then I was like, oh well, that's how you easily.
Not community service. I'm sorry, like your guest service.
Yes,
voice.
yes. I knew what you were talking about. You know what I'm talking about, but anyways, I just hear those mannerisms and be like, oh, well, that's how you easily talk to somebody. And it didn't have to, hey, how's your, grandma doing? It didn't have to go into that. It's just like, just easily learning how to talk to other people. And then that helped me as a young kid growing up into an adult. Just, it's easy to network now. But something I've been just basically ecstatic about the past couple weeks was I've been telling Raquel, I cannot believe that we have 2 new friends, being you and Britt. And I'm just like, how crazy is this that they live completely different lives than us, and then we're friends, Yeah. But that's the beautiful thing about today's day and age, and one with the internet, and just people not being assholes about everything.
Yeah.
When you find the right people, like, we probably don't have a lot of the same hobbies, but me, you, Kel, and Britt can all hold a conversation pretty well, and like we just flow, and everyone's nice to one another.
Yeah.
And so I've been so just like over the wall, like, holy crap, we made new friends,
Brittany, like I said, she was like, hey, why don't you ask Raquel and Levi to meet with you, whenever we talked that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good idea.
Heck yeah. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad that you confided in us over that. And we're going to get to at least a little bit of what we talked about. But it's just what all this is about is networking and being willing to meet. And then luckily you even saw my message on Insta. I just reached out to you like, I really look up to this girl's art. I think she's a badass. And Raquel kind of knows them. But we talked to him the other day, so surely if she sees it, she'll recognize who I am. I'm Raquel's husband. She has to know. And then I think you didn't see it at first.
I didn't.
It was in the requested things. Yeah.
It was like hidden away.
And so I was like, well, I've just been throwing balls out everywhere, and whoever hits them back, I'm like, cool, let's meet up, let's be friends, yada yada. And then so luckily you saw it, and that's kind of just the tricky part with this is if people don't know me or if we're not mutuals on something, then it's kind of hard to get a hold of some people.
Yeah.
And then so luckily Selena saw my message and was nice enough to me to be like, yeah, for sure, let's do something, let's get on a podcast and talk. And anyways, I've benefited from this friendship, and been a good, and we've only known each other for
likewise.
And so now I got some cool stuff right here that her girlfriend made us that I'm already wearing it, and it smells so nice. And I feel like it's helping me just riff with you as well. So
good. I'll have to let her know.
Yeah, for sure. I hope she'll be happy with it. But anyways, so now you're learning how to network. Now you're using your people of your community, people of other communities, and then I've seen the finished project at Vernon. You killed it. I mean, you beyond killed it.
Thank you.
Then let people know kind of what you were telling me and Raquel, all the connections that you made from that to painting.
So that mural in Vernon, the Roy Orbison project, it has gotten a lot of like national recognition. It's had a documentary made over it. The Orbison family themselves have shared the mural like on their personal pages. Mm-hmm. One of his sons followed me on Instagram, which I think is still kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But basically, like from that mural, I have, like I've met a lot of cool people. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have like shared the mural, the post and stuff. And then like from that mural, I have gotten a lot of work. So like here in town, I've worked for, a couple that own like an Airbnb, like the street.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the vault or whatever they call it.
Yeah, the old bank. Mm-hmm. Like they
on what is that? Not Austin, not Travis.
It's 9th and Oh man,
I don't know what it is, but you can find it on Downtown Wichita Falls website, and it's available for rent. I think it's hard to find on Airbnb, but it's called The Vault. And
Yes,
look it
it's
up.
called The Vault.
And where there used to be drive-throughs that you would put your stuff in and then send it to the bank. There's an overhead arch type
Lamar,
thing.
Ninth and Lamar.
Yeah,
there
Lamar. There you go.
Shout out to Shay and Cody Melton.
Yeah, and but you got art all over the arch. Did you get to paint the building as well?
No, they already painted that for me.
Okay, and I knew that it was green. I'm pretty sure I went to high school with the kid that painted the rest of the building, but you got to actually put art on it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to paint.
No, I didn't do any of the prep work for that project. They already had it prepped and ready for whenever, because they got a hold of me like during, I think, November. So while I was like just finishing up my Roy project, and it gets too cold to where you can't really paint outside because the paint will just freeze and it'll be like brittle.
Kind of smudges up too, don't it?
Yeah, like the paint will just, freeze on the brush. Like it's just not good to paint like during winter months. But after, the winter months have passed, I think I started in like March on their project where it was just a little bit more warmer outside.
Cool. Have you ever had the weather, like rain or anything, mess up a fresh?
Actually, the Roy Orbison project. God. So we were out there painting one day, and it was cold, but it was above the degree of where we could paint. Yeah. So it was like 40 degrees. I think you're not supposed to paint anything under 35 degrees.
Cool.
And it started to mist, and we were like, we can't paint out here. So we packed up everything. We went home, came back next day. It's sunny, and everything we painted that day just ran.
Oh no, like bad makeup.
Yeah, it ran down the building, and we had to touch up a bunch of spots because.
What's the cleanup like that?
What's the cleanup?
Well, yeah, like if it ran down, did you have to paint back over?
We painted back over it. Thankfully, it wasn't like huge spots.
Okay.
But it was still noticeable whenever you're up close with it. And I was like, I'm sorry, Carissa. I'm sorry, Audra, but we gotta like redo this.
And was it weird? Was it weird for you to kind of run that crew?
Oh no.
Okay.
No. It was fun.
And then it was just them personally made it easier for you to kind of like, hey, y'all work on this, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, I was also like, I was full-time employee at PPG Paints. And there were times whenever I couldn't go out there and paint with them because I had to work.
Right.
So I would write down like instructions on what they needed to do.
Cool.
That day.
It sounds like you're a good leader then.
And I labeled everything for them. Like I was very particular.
Good for you. And that's good to have good leadership, especially for people that like were in your shoes a long time ago that want to work with someone like you now. Like it's so nice for, say someone looks up to you and then wants to work with you and you're not a dick. Then it makes their experience so much better, and you don't even know what you could do for that person just by encouraging them and being like, yeah, this chick's where I want to be, and she's so nice, she's so sweet to me, so that's good.
It was fun
good
to work
job
with the both
being
of them.
a good leader, because you know as well as I do, bad bosses can just ruin good employees, and I'm not saying they were your employees, but it can just kill morale for a whole team.
Yeah, and I mean, Carissa, we all had jobs too, and they were, gracious enough to want to be involved and help me. So it's their time too, like their time is worth something.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, good for you. What were we just talking about before I interrupted you about the leadership thing? The weather being cold, and then the
paint running down. Yeah, it's happened a bit.
So yeah, God. I hate doing something twice, And
lesson was learned that day. Anytime I know that it's going to mist or rain, I don't go paint.
Good. I've now learned from several different people that, you've implemented that now to where you're not going to do it. You know better to do it. And then you're better prepared for the future to not have to waste time on a project. So adapt and overcome. You kind of took the L on that misty day, came back, fixed it, but you don't let it happen again.
Exactly.
I've seen Raquel adapt so much to where maybe she had a contract in place to cover A, B, and C, and then she ran into a new problem. She took the L, let the problem play out, and then she's like, but I'm updating my contract right now to where this can't happen again.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge, huge lesson to people getting started up. It's okay. You're gonna have some L's. You're gonna
mess up.
Not everything is gonna go your way, but don't let it keep happening. Just adapt and overcome. Yeah. So
it's part of the process of being self-employed too. Like you're gonna face tons of problems.
Exactly. And I don't know if you ever worked those jobs where like you were a younger person and you'd go out with just whether it be a parent or a grandparent or a boss, and luckily they had like all the answers, or at least you felt like they had all the answers. And I just can remember certain times of being like, thank God I'm not in charge right now, because something bad would happen, or like you'd have to make a bad call to the higher up boss and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, Lee. But
I don't think I've ever been put in that position.
Yeah.
Don't really look forward to that day though.
I know, and I was really worried about that with I really did want to hire somebody when I still had my heavy equipment company. And then what really, I tell everyone, I just chickened out for the sole purpose of I didn't want to put somebody in a tractor and say, hey, go fix this person's driveway. Just tear the gravel out, take it away, put some new gravel down, and then it sounds simple, right? But then what if someone drove through someone's garage, drove that tractor through their garage, or let the back of it take out a window on accident, and then they have to make that call to me, and then more than likely someone was, any inquiries that I got were all people older than me. And I was like, that would just be weird for me to have to kind of get on to someone way older than me if something bad was to happen. And I'm just like, I'm too chicken. I don't want that responsibility at this moment. Like, I have enough responsibility telling my kids what to do and what not to do, and not to get hurt or tear this, that, or the other up. And I'm like, I don't want to have to do that with adults,
Yeah, I would say like whenever we worked on the Roy Wall, there was nothing like that.
Good.
It was basically like pretty free, open communication. And
cool. I
think that we worked well together and we communicated very effectively.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. Like, the more we grow as, I don't know, like a culture, society, like we realize all these mean ass bosses that we had, or whether it be your parents or whatever, screaming at you and being like, you idiot, you messed this up, blah, blah, blah. You realize that all you did was just express your anger. You didn't benefit that person that messed it up. All you did was scar them, and then now we're learning more as people that like, hey,
oh man, that was kind of messed up.
Yeah. If we're more compassionate and then talk things over and be like, hey, do we realize why we messed this up? It's so much better than you idiot, blah, 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 blah. And so, we're just so much different now than like our generation growing up, and then the generation before them. Just
100%.
Getting punched for the most random things, for messing this or that up. And anyways, I'm sure leadership is going to be in my future one of these days. I think my dad's a good boss, and it took him a lot of just, like I said earlier, boots on the ground to just learn what he knows now. And then he's a county commissioner now, so technically he's got a lot of people under him, but at the same time, he does some stuff still at the house that he has people help him with. But he's a lot nicer now, I think, than what he was. But I've heard him chew people out, and I'm like, oh God. One, that's brutal, but then two, you gotta be really confident in order to chew somebody out, because if someone calls your bluff or has a bad reaction back to you, like if it's adults, they could potentially fight you, or punch you in the face or trying
to avoid that.
Yeah. And so, God, it's a tough gig. And then but one of these days, I'm sure I'll have an employee or a helper, or I don't know. I always benefited out of my working relationship with one of my closest friends in the past couple of years, because we both had businesses the exact same.
Oh yeah.
And we would just hire one another, and we wouldn't do a good buddy discount. He would tell me exactly what he charged, and I'd pay him that, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And then there was a couple times where I was like, yeah, it's X amount an hour, blah, blah, blah. and he'd say, well, I don't think that's enough. Here's an extra 10 or 20 an hour.
Man, why can't all people be
Exactly.
that way?
And some people are just good, and then know that they know what it takes. They know how hard certain things are, and then other people aren't, and then will take full advantage of your kindness, or I don't know. I've had bad experiences with like people wanting to take advantage, and I'm like, no, this is where I'm gonna die on this hill, and I'm no longer a kiddo. And I needed to be treated that way. And that's hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
In this time of our life of like 20 up until now, like so much goes on and you're supposed to be an adult, but then you kind of don't feel like an adult. But then people talk to you like an adult on certain circumstances, but then want to treat you like a kid on other. And that's just, ugh.
Yeah, I feel like people view me as a teenager still, which... I know, like, look young. Yeah. But I'm not.
Exactly.
27 years old. I've been doing this by myself for like a year now.
Been around the block.
Been around the block.
And another thing, you don't suck at it. Like, you need to be respected over this work because this is your niche,
Yeah.
And so you better pay her your respect if you ever work with Selena. So if not, we'll have to talk about it. But... yeah, it's just one of those, it's an awkward thing as an entrepreneur or small business owner, whatever, to like start respecting yourself, and whether it be with your time or your money or just how people talk to you. And it's so
true.
It's weird because you've been raised the past 20 years of like your parents telling you almost everything what to do or something like that. And then you being like, I want to do this for myself. And that means all the responsibilities and decisions come down on me, and I'm not going to have a boss over me to delegate these things, and I'm going to have to delegate on myself. And I think I mentioned it to you the other day, just bad customer experiences with people, and then having to deal that. Oh yeah, that's what our whole conversation was the other day.
Literally.
And it's just so weird to have to stand up for yourself, and even weirder for older people to be disrespectful to you. It's like, why are you treating me like this whenever I did a service for you? And it's like so confusing. And if it's your first experience, you're like, how am I supposed to handle this? And it's one of those, you just gotta get through it on your own, and you're learning right now. And I had to learn the hard way during my experiences, and it's not going to be the last time. Your experience that you're going through right now is not going to be the last time. But like we were talking about, you're going to adapt and overcome. You're probably not going to let this happen, especially not the exact same thing happen again.
No.
So we've been around the block. We're talking about 2020 right now, and you had great success with the Roy Orbison. You got a lot of clout from that, and you said that's what really like got your name out there.
I would say so, yeah.
And I agree. I mean, because it deserves all the respect that it got. And what happens after that? Do you feel like you kind of went like viral in real world where people were actually knew you, and it was off of Instagram because so many different alleys were coming your way, like people in person and people with documentaries? Like, what happens after that? Because you see it now with people going viral and their small business or whatever goes well.
I would say after that mural was done, I got really, really busy in 2021.
Cool.
So I was doing, I feel like, a project every month.
Cool.
Or every couple of months.
Nice.
So I was busy. I was traveling. I was painting here in Wichita, or I was like going to Denton, or I was going to Fort Worth. And where did I go this year? This year I went to Dallas to paint in Deep Ellum.
Yeah.
So like I've been like going nonstop.
Heck yeah.
Of course, like every other small business that you meet, like there are slow months.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man,
what am I gonna do?
Yeah, what am I gonna do? And there has been like the question of, well, should I get a part-time job to,
Well, we didn't even talk about this. When did so you do the Roy Orbison, you're doing it in your spare time from PPG.
Yes.
When did you take that leap of faith? That's what a big premise of this whole show is about, is taking that leap.
I quit my job in April 2021.
Okay.
So
and
it
then,
took several months after that.
right. And so you finished in November, worked several months up until April. And what was it that you're just like, I need to be out on my own?
It was getting really hard to, find that sweet spot of working full time and like doing art full time.
Yeah, because you're probably working 7, 8, 8 days a week.
So yeah, and I was basically like working, like my 9 to 5, and then after I got off work at 5, I would go paint for a couple of hours at whatever site I was painting at. And it was tiring, like I was drained.
And your light was probably worse than if you got there in the morning. Getting there in the afternoon is probably different.
Yeah.
And so, that was even harder for you working a 9 to 5 because you're probably familiar with like what your parents' hourly schedule was at the plant. And then I was lucky enough to have full days during the week off that I could work, 12 hours a day. But yeah, you end up working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. If you're doing both, then man, that can just be a drain.
I did that though for a year and a half though.
Were you and Brittany dating at the time?
We didn't get together until I guess so. Yeah. Man, the time is so fuzzy.
It blends together, especially when COVID happens,
No, we met in 2019. So we met before I got kind of big.
I gotcha. Because I was just going to wonder or ask, how was it with your personal relationships having to work so much? Did it kind of take a drain on your personal connections with people or just friends and your dating? And
I never really saw my friends because I was always working. I never saw my partner because she was also at the time a teacher at Murals.
That's right. Yeah.
So she was dedicated fully to, her students and her classroom. So we both were just like we were together, but we weren't together at the same time.
You're basically lucky that it worked out as good as it did because, man, y'all are busy. It's life.
Yeah, so. we like just, there was like one weekend whenever we didn't have to do anything. And I remember her saying like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is weird.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Sitting still.
Because we worked so much. And then, like I quit in April 2021 and then she didn't teach the following semester.
The kids weren't there.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
So she quit her job too. And I mean, now it's like, like we get to do whatever we want, but we still, work accordingly and we make our own schedules and, like we're making it work and we make time for each other and for our dogs. But at the time it was really hard.
Yeah, I believe it. And then I don't know if, that many people take that into consideration thinking, and a lot of people do it that same style that you did, and I was guilty of it as well, of just, I'll make it work, I'll do it in my free time, it'll be fine. And I heard this saying, I forget who it was, someone on Joe Rogan's podcast was like, the work never suffers, but everything around the work starts suffering.
Truly.
And that's what really ended up pushing me because I was coming home at the time. My kid was so young that he would fall asleep at a good time, not now, but he'd be asleep before I'd even come home from that factory job. So that sucked. And then I would work days on my off days from the factory. I would go work for myself on the backhoe. But I would get home at like 5 or 6 and he'd still be up. And I was like, wait, there's something way better. And we could hang out. We could, play together. We could roll around on the floor, whatever. And because he was still awake. And I was like, okay, I'm clearly seeing that there's a pattern here that it's a better life to have. But then also I just started taking into consideration. Kel told me one day, it was like, if you're doing both like 100%, you're not actually giving 100% to both. You're declining on both of them, not being able to put 100% into one or the other. And at this point, I'd put like 100%. I say that if any of my work friends ever hear this, they'll be like, bullshit, you can put in 100%. But I'd focused all this time for 5 years or so at this factory, and I was like, I'm ready for something new. And then that's what I was working towards. And then when that something new was happening, it was good. But when I first started, me and Raquel were dating, but still I was kind of living that bachelor life to where I was more flexible, whatever. But the week that I was supposed to go get that backhoe, she tells me, hey, I'm pregnant. I was like, so that changes everything. That changes the whole scheme of this. So I'm going to have to get pretty serious. But I ended up having to stay there longer because we needed the insurance. I didn't know how the healthcare marketplace worked. And that there was actual help for small business people or self-employed people. And then so it took me a while to make that leap of faith. And man, life kind of sucked for those it was probably a year, maybe, just kind of in the realm of a year of working both. And I was getting a lot of respect in both because I was doing all that. I was a new dad, new homeowners, yada, yada. But man, you're just so drained and nothing's really going right and everything's hard and you're struggling because your sleep sucks, yada, yada, yada. And so you just have to make that jump at whatever's going to make you the more happy or the happiest. And I doubt PPG paint was doing it for you. I'm going to bet 100% that you really like doing the murals a lot more. So
I did, but I also really love the people I work with. My boss was great. He was very accommodating if I needed to like get off work a little bit early to like go paint. Yeah. Or like if I needed to take off a day during the week to go with Krissa and Audra to paint. Yeah. Like he was very supportive.
Cool. That makes it better.
And he wanted me to succeed as well as my other coworker.
That's good.
But I mean now, I only go to PPG for paint.
Yeah.
He's my like sole provider.
Nice. Heck yeah.
And he knows whenever I have a mural, like I'm going to be there the next day.
For sure. And you made that connection now and you can rely on them. So, and you got a friend there too.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break and then go to the bathroom real quick.
Okay.
And then go pee. And then it'll be like it never even happened because I'm going to crop the part out. So. And we're back. It's like it never even happened because I'm going to crop that out. But it's bad. I drink enough coffee for 3 people every day. And then I go to the Y and of course I drink a lot while like exercising or lifting weights or whatever. And then the bike kills me as well. But the big one is I've gotten really big into using the sauna. But I keep ice water with me the whole time, but I'll just kill that water the whole time while doing it. And then man, you get to sit down if you don't like keep moving and if your body's not using that water and just runs right out of it. Yeah. And so anyways, I keep hydrated at all times. But
hydration is important.
You gotta go sometimes. Anyways, I was just kind of curious. I've been wondering how you handled this. Like, do you get? And we can get back on the timeline and after this. But do you ever get like writer's block for a painter or like a creative block?
All the time.
What do you do to? This is also like a good way to talk about mental health and staying on top of your game. What do you do in order to like, if you hit a low spot, to get back up and then, just tell me about that first.
Usually whenever I have like a painter's block, I try to paint something that I am like really, really focused on at the moment. So
like
lately,
fun things?
Yeah, or like something that is like, oh man, I'm so excited. So lately it's been, Stranger Things.
Yeah,
like
I've been keeping up with all your little ones.
I've been doing like little, like not even kidding, 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches portraits.
Cool.
Of the Stranger Things cast.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna get one of those from you too.
Oh, you are? And I have rewatched the newest season probably several times. Like I've watched it twice, I think, all the way through. Yeah. But since I'm like painting, like whenever I'm painting these small portraits, I listen to it in the background, so it keeps me focused in a way. So that's one way I do it.
You just find something that really, really interests you, okay, and kind of get you up out of your seat again.
Yeah, cool. I find ways to, I don't know, reduce that stress.
Okay, like what? That big topic here.
Reduce the stress of like you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be going out and looking for walls. You should be emailing people, like email outreach. You should be making social media posts, which I'm not good at social media. Right. So that's like something entirely that I have to work on.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's that you got to keep the grind going, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just need time to paint fun things or do fun things.
Yeah.
And usually, like, if it's not painting, then I play the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
You know? Or me and Brittany spend a lot of time in the backyard with the dogs.
Cool. Yeah, that's what another thing I was going to ask you. Like, what are some outlets where I've found exercise is pretty good for me? And then so yours would be just chilling on the Switch or chilling with the pups.
Yeah, chilling with the pups, hanging out with Brittany. I haven't done this in a while, but I used to speed skate a lot.
Really? Like inline skates?
Yeah, inline skates.
Okay.
So I have like 3 pairs of skates in my closet.
Cool.
But we just don't have like nice sidewalks for me to do it here.
Very true. They're pretty rough, even downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And then the skate park's not like the best.
No. And I don't want to go to like the family fun zone,
Or my favorite, Sand Beach. Did you ever go to Sand Beach growing up?
I don't know.
It is it's a roller rink, but it also had it's a large property in between like the City View and Owl Park area.
Okay, I have heard of it.
Okay,
yeah.
And it's where what's the skating when you fight each other? The ladies do it.
Roller derby.
Yes. So they do that there nowadays, or they at least used to a year or two ago. Anyways, when we were kids, it was really big because they had a humongous swimming pool, huge, like probably a half an acre or a quarter acre swimming pool, and it was like a beach where it sloped all the way down, and one side was flat, and it was all concrete, and it's broken up real bad. It's super sketchy. But then in the same property, just right across the parking lot, was this humongous building that had a roller rink in it, and then just classic wood floors. And then when we were growing up, it had animals painted on the walls that almost as good as your work, animals with roller skates, but now everything's got flames on it. Yeah, you've seen the pictures. Heck yeah. And so that's what we grew up with, was Sand Beach. But anyways, I mean, tell me, how'd you even get into that?
Into skating?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember. I think my uncle, my mom's brother, he grew up like rollerblading.
Yeah.
Or like the quads, I guess, is what they, skated in back then.
Yeah, and they used to be able to like dance real good. And
I can't skate on quads. But I think he got me like a bad pair of rollerblades at the time, and I used them and I wore them down thin. And then I actually got another pair from Goodwill at the time because we were thrifting.
Yeah.
And my best friend, she also liked to skate. We also used to like cruise, like on a 70s fiberglass cruiser board.
Okay.
And it was her mom's board. So
cool. An original board.
Yeah. Like a Santa Cruz fiberglass board.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of skating. I did a lot of skateboarding.
Cool.
A lot of biking whenever I was younger.
I gotcha. And then was that mainly in Burke?
Yes.
And because I doubt they have very good places in Big Pasture or anywhere around there. Hardly any concrete at all. Just all asphalt and dirt roads around there.
No, we mainly went to, so I used to live across the street from IC Evans in Burke.
Okay.
So we used that parking lot, like, the parking lot or the sidewalk of the school to like skate on or bike on.
Gotcha. Cool.
And as we got older, we went to the park in Burke.
Well, when MySpace was real prominent, so like 15 or 20, I don't know how long ago it was. My friends, some of my closest friends that I still have today, they made up their group called Soul Skaters, I think, because there was a TV show or a movie that had the Soul Skaters, and they made their own Soul Skaters. And one of my closest friends, his parents still lived there. It was really close to the elementary school in Owl Park, and they have good stairs and different elevation changes, real close in the parking lot. And so someone took their sister's digital camera or their mom's flip phone that had an actual camera, and everyone got recorded and got their pictures taken, and it was on everyone's MySpace. So they were the Soul Skaters and had it all. Remember when we'd mess the fonts up on MySpace and change it to like an E would be a 3 and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's what theirs was all about.
Wow.
And they were jumping down the stairs and stuff like that.
Unlocking some memories right now.
But, it's cool to learn that, Selena's not just all paint and all everything. You're a person, and that's what I wanted to do with this show, is just really learn who you are and learn your story and learn your experiences. So I think that's freaking cool. I hope you get back into it and more involved with it, and that'll be fun. What Switch games do you play? I don't even know what's available anymore.
Oh man, I play like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I play a lot of Kirby. Kirby's fun.
Yeah.
Y'all be sleeping on Kirby.
Well, I didn't play either one of those growing up, but when I had a GameCube, they were both on Smash Bros.
Oh, Smash Bros is a good one.
Are you still playing? What's the newest Smash Bros released?
I don't know.
But do you have any of them?
No, I don't. But I remember Smash Bros.
on the GameCube. Oh, but legend game. That's like up there with Grand Theft Auto 5, on the top, some of the best games ever made. But Kirby and Zelda and Link.
I played a lot of Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker, and then I played a lot of Donkey Kong 64.
I gotcha. Yeah. Still to this day, or like back in the day?
No, still to this day.
Really?
I still have the
3-handle controller things. Cool.
I have an N64 that's in perfect condition at the house.
And then how do you have an old TV or a newer TV?
We have an adapter.
Okay, because back then we had to use the yellow and red and white cords. Kids, y'all don't know anything about that with the HDMI 1, 2, 3 and USB. But I was curious. That's like almost a gas-powered video game.
We got an adapter to where it hooks up into the three prongs, and then it's an HDMI. So
cool, nice.
It just displays it beautifully.
Didn't even know that existed. I still kick myself to this day because long time ago, my family or my brother, someone had a garage sale, and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing with all these games?" Because back in the day, I had all of them. And Xbox and PlayStation and GameCube. I had a lot in GameCube, but I also had Guitar Hero, several different things, and then
nostalgic.
And we had Rock Band as well. So we had all the instruments and several guitars. And I was like, just bundle it up, sell it for like $100. Someone made a killing off of me that day, and I was like, $100, like I'm rich. Don't talk to me, man. Yeah, talk about a loss. And so I still kick myself to this day because when I was older and when we were all at tech school, we had to go to the pawn shop and go buy Guitar Hero stuff for way more than what I sold it for before then. So anyways, I can't play video games anymore because I just get so obsessive. I will lose sleep over it. And when I work night shifts, that's all I did. I bought a PS5 or PS4, whatever was out. And did you ever play Witcher 3 or heard of it?
I have heard. My sister has that game.
Okay, well, it's very addicting. And then to complete the story is like minimum 100 hours, and I beat it in under a week. And I was like, oh no. When I started watching people's review videos on it, I was like, I wonder what they thought about how short this game was. And it's not short. I just accidentally dedicated an entire week of not being off on night shifts and just beat it immediately. I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Well, the Switch, it's kind of like a wind down thing for me.
Gotcha.
So I have the one where you can undock it and take it to the room.
Yeah.
So I just take it into our bedroom and I play it. It's like as a
in the day kind of thing.
Yeah,
Cool.
So it's not like I stay 6 hours in front of the TV.
Right.
I don't have the. I don't know. I just don't have the patience.
Yeah, good for you. What about we were just talking about Stranger Things. I got pretty obsessed with that, but I didn't have the amount of time to binge it like I used to be able to. How quick do you watch Stranger Things?
Took a day.
I don't blame you though. I would be mad that it'd be midnight and my eyes were closing on me.
7 episodes. I think they're like an hour and a half long or about an hour.
And man, what a twist too. I'm like, I got deeper into the season. I was like, there has to be another volume to this. Luckily, I either Googled it before I was done or, at the end it tells you volume 2 coming soon. And it's like, thank God, because they didn't have enough time to explain everything that they did.
I know. And I have to say that the episode 7 and then episode 4, which was the Dear Billy episode of Max.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Is that when when she goes to the cemetery.
Yeah.
We don't have to spoil it too much.
We won't
case.
spoil it for you guys.
But yeah, that one was killer, and I got a new favorite song out of it.
Oh yeah,
And
running up that hill.
Yes, and so many. I'm an idiot for liking all these like suggested things on Facebook because Facebook just keeps pushing it. But I'm nothing but a Kate Bush Facebook grouper now because Facebook just pushes all these ads because she's in the limelight again for her song that's killing it.
Yeah.
But that one was great. And then, yeah, like you said, 7 was great as well because plot twist. You know, you could see it coming, but it took a long time to figure out what was coming.
I didn't see it coming.
And I was like, he's got to be. I won't even say it.
He's got to be, you know.
Yeah, for y'all who do know, you know. But anyway, so like that's kind of your decompressor type things.
Yeah, like TV shows or, you know, like me and Brittany watch
Good
Hillsong.
docs, yeah.
Yeah, good documentaries.
I can be hooked into those, man, but I'm just all for it. What about either one of y'all like stand up?
Yeah, actually.
Cool.
We haven't watched stand up in a long time.
Yeah.
But we used to a lot back in 2020 because, you know, we needed some light.
Something good to go on, yeah, for sure. I've gotten really big into stand up. I didn't even know that how good of a world there was and good entertainment, and that's a good decompressor for me at the end of the day, especially if I had a stressful day, to like hear one of the legends go up and just murder it, and you're just belly laughing by yourself in the living room watching YouTube, you know. So great, it's absolutely great, and you have to have them, especially if you have to have these decompressors is what I'm getting at, especially the ones that aren't harmful to you. Like if you can get away without smoking cigs or, you know, dipping snuff or having a drinking thing, like those can just get out of hand so easily, you know.
Right.
And then we've all been there, and it took everything in me. I used tobacco forever since I was like 14. And then last year, I think I just hit a year of nicotine and tobacco free.
Oh,
and
congrats.
Then earlier in January or February, I'll have to go back and look, but I hit alcohol free for a year. And then, but it was me, thank you. But just sitting down and being like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And what used to be like chillax or like coping mechanisms of just like, who cares? I'll just decompress real quick. Or like after a whole night shift or whole 12-hour shift, just drink a beer or two, whatever. But then when that turns into your whole like reality, and that's like your personality, and people don't know you without a cigarette or a dip of snuff or whatever, it's really hard to break. And it took me sitting down and being like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And then but that used to be my go-tos, was like, all right, I'm off work, where we going drinking, you know? And then I, one, don't have that availability anymore with the kiddos. And then two, I don't want the kids being around it. So
it's just also like so bad for your body.
Yeah, you don't realize like how much of a turd you feel like doing it. And so
me and Brittany, we barely drink now. Nice. If we do, it's like a glass of wine, you know, but it's not like tequila shots or
going hard anymore.
Going hard. Like I don't know. I feel like once I hit 27, my body just started to deteriorate.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, because those hangovers are not the same at all, and they'll just it'll tank you if you go too hard one day, and it's like, I'm too young to be feeling this old, you know. Oh,
I'd rather just stick to like water or like coffee.
I've gotten big into another thing I kicked that I really had to put my foot down was sodas, Cokes.
Oh, really?
I could just drink a Coke or a Mountain Dew every second of every single day and have no remorse about it. And that one was super hard. And I'll tell you, all these addicting things that I got in and out of, I'll tell you, carbs has been the hardest one for me. Food, you know, and bread and pizza and pasta, crap like that.
All my favorite things.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. And I was actually listening to a podcast before you came, and they were talking about the guy does something similar. Like he stays off of these heavy foods before he has to do anything important. And the guy was Tony Hinchcliffe. Have you heard of him?
I don't think so.
He runs Kill Tony. It's a comedy show, but he was a writer for I think Comedy Central's roast. You know, the host people. He was in the writing room, and they literally just like an hour before you got here, were talking about everyone would go together to someone's restaurant that they all knew and just eat like a loaf of bread. I think they were eating sub sandwiches and stuff, and everyone would come back and basically be paralyzed because a carb overload, and no one could think, no one had good ideas, and they were talking about having to go for walks and clear their brain, but they needed their blood to start flowing again because
be bloated.
Yeah, their carbs they're locking them down, and everyone just felt stupid because their brain wasn't working anymore. So before you got here, and I was like, what do I want for lunch? And I normally I hit gyros and kebabs all the time.
Oh yeah,
and super good. And their pitas luckily are light enough to where they don't bog you down too much. But I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And so I got buffalo cauliflower down here at Progress and Provisions. The breading is almost none. So I was like, that'll be good, light enough, but still tastes good, yada, yada. But I called Gypsy Kit, and I was like, they have different options for their tacos. Like, you can get lettuce and stuff like that. Well, Gypsy Kit's not in business anymore.
Yeah, they have a new location.
Yeah, and going to Kell. Are they on the highway now?
Yeah, their business is now
Taco Darling.
And it is the old Oyster Bar right next to Cheddar's.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. I got their recorder or their voice deal, and they were like, we're on Kell Freeway, blah, 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 in between Cheddar's and Back Porch is what they said. And I was like,
bigger location, too.
I gotcha. Because my game plan was, I was like, I'll just drive over here and I'll just walk down there and go get it.
Right.
But it's like, well, I guess I'm not walking over there anymore. But anyways, my whole deal was carbs. And I was like, I do not want to have writer's block or have a sludged up brain, sitting down and talking with you. And then luckily you came in and brought me this for clarity as well. I was like, yes, perfect. But also I was telling you and Britt a little bit that I've gotten into mushrooms, and then legal mushrooms, not magic mushrooms. Okay. But the mix that I'm taking has chaga and lion's mane in it, and that's for clarity and help with brain function as well. And so it just goes with what we were talking about earlier before we started, and just all about the brain health. And now that I'm having to, actually think about what I'm saying and just let everything flow out better, I need a more clear path to go. So
yeah,
I don't want writer's block. I can't have it. So I was like very conscious of what went into the body today and went super, super good and clean. So I think it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, there are days whenever I have to watch what I eat whenever I paint, just because, whenever you're painting in the hot sun, you don't want to eat. Hardly.
Exactly.
So I have to make myself stop and drink water or eat a snack or something, because if you eat a whole meal, especially working in the sun, it's just
and you're
good.
Not just working in the sun and then getting the option to go to the truck or sitting in some shade or anything. You're working on fresh paint that's glossy and shining that sun right back on you too. So you're not getting a break at all, and you're probably not working around too many trees or overhanging buildings or anything.
Sometimes, yeah.
But man, you can be really out in the elements. And I would tell people, I work outside, but I was in a tractor that had an amazing AC, and you're in a scissor lift up in the air working with, all the elements right on you. So it is hard, and it's when you're in the zone, like we were talking about earlier, it's easy to ignore what your body needs. And it took Raquel telling me, you need to slow down. And if it means me bringing you lunch, then I'll come bring you lunch, or you need to stop and actually think about it, because your day's going to go better if you feed yourself. And it's true.
Yeah, I am my own worst enemy when it comes to that.
It's just so easy to work right through it. But then, man, whenever it comes 3 or 4 o'clock, you're like,
so hungry.
I feel like a zombie, like a dead person walking around right now, and I got a headache and I'm pissed off. And if you would have just took that 15 to 30 minutes to eat something, get some sort of energy in your body, then you could have just worked right through 3, 4, and 5 o'clock and kept going.
Exactly. There was a mural that I did also in Vernon. It was of hibiscus flowers.
Cool.
And I think it was the first day we were on site. So it was already like projected. The line work was projected on the wall. And I had 2 volunteers that wanted to come and learn like how to paint exterior murals. So I think we only worked 4 hours that day because it was so hot. It was like 110 degrees, I think, if I remember correctly.
Man.
And the wall that we were on, it didn't get much sun, but if you were behind like that 5-inch threshold in the sun, like you were getting baked.
Yeah.
And we were at the point where we were getting so sunburnt that we just were like, oh man, I can't eat because I'll be sick.
Yeah.
And then we were so dehydrated, and I had to drive home, and I had the most, like, the pounding headache that I've ever experienced. And I got home, and I, like, chugged some pickle juice, and I was like, let me go take a nap to Brittany. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, I do not feel good. Like, I did not drink any water. I did not eat anything.
Get sun poisoning being out there. I mean, that's a lame word for it, but yeah, you can get overcooked by the sun.
Oh, I was overcooked. And Marie, also like the one who painted Look Over Cinco, she helped me on the hibiscus mural.
Cool.
And she texted me, she's like, how are you feeling? I was like, I'm not good. She's like, yeah, same. Like,
none of y'all took care of yourself.
Yeah, so the next day, I think we took off a day after that first day on site. And then whenever we got back, we're like, we have to like remind ourselves to drink some water.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that was horrible.
Yeah.
And Marie was like, yeah. So every like 30 minutes or so, we would, chug some water and eat a snack.
Yeah. And you start learning different like things of, if I buy this a little bit more expensive cooler, then it can sit in the sun and not be affected by, and melt all my ice or whatever. But I think it's funny whenever you're younger, I know that I had these experiences of like working with your parents or your grandparents or an older boss, and they'll be like, okay, we need to sit down and take a break. And my grandpa always was big about wearing a wet either bandana or a towel around his neck. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is so dumb. Like, let's just keep going, yada, yada. But then once you get closer, you're like, oh, they knew it. They were already in my shoes. They know that they're going to be hurting if that they don't take this, seriously and have some protection. And it's nothing to go see an old person mowing their lawn and have a big old hat and a face mask and a neck cover, but they don't want those problems. They don't want to have to go lay down for the rest of the day because their son's sick,
Yeah.
And so it just...
I paint with a hat on.
Yeah.
I got like
I've
the
seen
cooling
you.
towel.
You have a gardening hat like that now.
I paint with gloves on. I'm actually allergic to paint.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a oxymoron.
It is.
What is it? Have you been able to dial anything down to be like, oh, it's this element in the paint?
It is only exterior paint that I'm allergic to,
Weird.
and it is the mildicides that's in it.
Huh. Never even heard of that word.
Mildicides?
Yeah.
I think the job is to like lock in the paint onto the surface so that it doesn't mildew or mold.
Okay. It's like a bonding agent almost.
Yes, pretty much. Or honestly, I don't really know. But
we'll be fact checked for that.
Yeah, that chemical in exterior paint really like causes blisters on my hands.
Oh, weird. Oh, and I'm sure the sun cooking it doesn't help nothing at all.
Yeah, but they're like tiny, tiny blisters. So after I found out I was allergic to paint, exterior paint, actually it was on my East Side mural project. And I was like, what is going on with my hands? And Brian's like, I think you're allergic to exterior paint. Because it doesn't happen with interior paint or like the interior like painter's paint. Yeah. That I use. It's just exterior paint. So I have to wear gloves whenever I paint outside.
Weird. And what kind of gloves do you end up buying?
Oh, just like the regular rubber ones from Lowe's.
Oh my gosh, is that not 1,000,000 degrees with your hands cooking inside of them?
Oh, no, they're kind of breathable.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like rubber right here. Okay. And then it's like the breathable mesh right here.
I gotcha. One time when we were in tech school, our teacher gave us like some pretty cool like surgery gloves, but they're thick. Like they could take, like they wouldn't be cut over anything easy. And you could literally pull like it apart and just sweat would drip out of there. It was horrible. It was like you put them on, like, I don't even want to wear these, but I don't want grease all over my hands. So it was one.
I mean, my hands do get
nice and sweaty.
Nice and sweaty inside, but it protects them in the long run.
Exactly, because who wants a bunch of blisters if you don't have to have them? But
exactly.
I respected your swag that you had the day that I got to watch you. You were in pinkish purple overalls.
Yep.
And then were they beaming bright yellow shoes or boots?
Boots.
Nice. I'm a boot guy myself. I'm not wearing any right now, but I'll wear boots almost, work boots any type of way. But yeah, I seen you and was like, you look like a fun person to talk to for sure. And then I've seen on your Instagram now that's kind of a going work outfit for you.
Yeah, my magenta overalls with the pink shirt, and my yellow boots, and my purple hat.
Make you gotta
make sure people could see me.
Exactly. You gotta be recognized. And then so now we can brand off of that and sell your own overalls, and we can do it Yeezy style to where there's paint thrown all over them, kind of tore up from work, yada yada. You can just sell the ones that you use, and maybe your fans will buy them one day. Yeah, exactly. We can frame them. I want some for the studio now. But I mean, it just kind of took you learning the hard way of like, crap, I gotta be protected out here. You know, it sounds like you just kind of went in winging it one day and was like, nope, gotta add this, gotta add that, gotta have water.
Yeah, there's like some days whenever I work in a shirt and shorts, but I also, it's a texture thing. I don't like paint on my legs. It takes forever to scrub in the shower, and you get to the point where you're scrubbing it so raw that your legs are red.
Yeah,
and I just don't like that.
What do you use? When I was a kid, I had to use mineral spirits, but then before I learned that, my parents just gave me gas to clean my paint off my hands when I was working that job I was telling you, and it worked, but it just hurt so bad. And the mineral spirits kind of hurt too. What do you use to clean up after a job?
Well, I use latex paint, so acrylic paint, and it normally cleans up well with water and soap.
I gotcha.
So, but I did have to work with oil paint one time, and I will never do it again. It was miserable.
That was probably what I was working with.
Oil paint?
Yeah. Is that like what people buy for metal?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah, that's what I was working with. And I didn't know. I was just this kid, and I had it's technically a cowboy hat at the time. It's very, very flat, but I still have it. My kid loves playing with it, but it's just littered with all kinds of paint flakes and everything all over. It probably looks like your work ones. Yeah, and your overalls. But God, it was just horrible cleaning up after a day.
Yeah, so my best friend actually helped me on this little project. It wasn't like a massive like gig, but it was still, pay the bills. And she's like, what do you want to do with these brushes? I was like, well, I don't have mineral spirits and I can't really clean it, so we got to throw them away. Because I was not about to like sit there in front of the school that I was working for and like clean these brushes and stuff. And I think I also had another pair of overalls. They were like a navy blue, and they got oil paint all over them. It's like, I got to throw these away now because I won't be able to get it out. And then comes to find out you don't have to like use gasoline to, wipe your hands or clean your hands with oil. You could use other oil. Yeah. Because oil fights oil.
Gotcha.
So I use vegetable oils. To like clean my hands.
That's way better than gasoline.
It still stinks. Yeah. I mean, it's not as stinky as gasoline, but it was more accessible than gasoline, and it took a couple minutes for it to come off my hands and come off other areas of my legs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not, it's like looking at the art, you're like, oh my God, that's a beautiful thing, and you can sell pieces that go in people's houses and then bring people a lot of joy, but I don't know if everyone relates to the amount of dirty work that you do. Because you even told me about like prepping this building the other day, like that's not nice and romantic of having to caulk off from brick to mortar or brick to concrete, whatever. That you think of paintings like, oh, that's really romantic, and that's there's just a beauty aspect to it. But you're in the all the elements doing the nitty gritty.
Yeah, sometimes like the clients take care of the prep work before I come and paint.
You can just get in and go.
Yeah, get in and go.
Yeah, still that paint is just so sticky, But it sounds like you got it figured out, and it's just one of those adapt and overcome type of methods, and you're going to learn in a couple months and years even better ways to do it too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I like your style, and I think you look cool. So
Thanks.
keep rocking it, because
the yellow boots are a big hit.
Yeah. What kind of boots are they? What brand are they?
Palladium.
Interesting. Never even heard of them.
They make boots that are like fit for hiking.
Okay. Yeah, they had a lot of tread on them, huh?
Yep.
Because your boots were about eye level with me that day. I was like, interesting.
Yeah, no, but they're comfy, and they're supposed to last me a while. I found them actually through another muralist that I follow.
Cool.
And they recommended, boots, not shoes.
Yeah.
Because they would,
up and down ladders.
Yeah, they would protect my ankles a lot
that
better.
too, yeah. And you don't want to
sprain
Exactly.
my ankle.
Just trying to paint and then roll an ankle or fall and get hurt. So
yeah,
it's just another learning lesson. And maybe someone that's young into painting is like, I'm gonna go buy boots now.
Yeah.
You don't want to
buy boots. They'll save your feet.
Heck yeah. Well, so we got to April of 21. You quit your daytime job and you're full on self-employed. What did that feel like? Were you terrified?
I was scared.
Same. Yeah.
I was terrified.
Tell me what happened days and weeks after, and then tell me, just riff on what you did after you quit.
It was a long time coming though. I debated quitting for while we were working on the Roy mural. So several months before. And whenever I finally did it, it was scary. And I was like, I'm sorry, Tress, my boss. I have to do this. I can't continue to be working these 60-hour work weeks and just draining myself and depriving mental health and stressing myself out. And he's like, I understand. This is what you're meant to do, and I will not hold you back, and there's no hard feelings.
Cool.
So he was very supportive.
That's good.
And my coworker also was very supportive. But jumping into the self-employment part, I was like, well, now I got to find work. And, thankfully I had a couple of things lined up. I had my mural on Lamar and 9th Street with the Meltons. And then Chase Bank has a mural inside their building.
Cool. The one on Kemp Street?
Yeah, the one on Kemp.
Good for you.
And then I was supposed to go to Denton to paint a 9x10 mural for a burger company.
Gotcha.
But that was a call for artists that each year they paint over it. So it only lasted for a year.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was still really fun though. Yeah. I got to network with a lot of people.
Good.
But it was I was constantly searching. I was or putting on Facebook, if you know anyone that needs a mural or needs some paintings, let me know.
Cool.
I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of curious. I would get tagged in all the time. It's kind of a normal question. Hey, who sells dirt? Who sells gravel? Blah, blah, blah. Who can knock these trees down? But I don't always see people saying, hey, who can paint me this 2,700 square foot mural?
Oh, man.
You know, so that's a good question is how were you landing these, and what kind of, did you know the people, or are they cold calls from other municipalities, or what?
I got a lot of work actually from previous clients and then MSU.
Cool.
So the art department of MSU, anytime they would get an email about needing a larger piece of artwork or a mural done, my professors would send it to me.
Nice.
So
that's good that you still had that relationship with them, and it must mean that you had a really good one while you were in class with them.
I loved my professors.
Good. That's awesome.
But that's basically what I got most of my work from.
Okay.
Is from previous clients and then professors from MSU that have sent me stuff. And then there is the call for artists stuff that people who I knew that lived in that area sent me.
Cool.
So the Denton one was from my old coworker at PPG. He's like, hey, I really think you should apply for this. And I was like, oh man, there's no way I'm going to get into this. And he's like, you'll be surprised. And then I got into it. And then the Deep Ellum one too. That happened this year though.
Heck yeah. It's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because, I don't know, you think of word of mouth for carpenters or roofers, that kind of traits. And then you just don't, people that don't know how
Right.
you get work. And you think like, oh, people just probably call Selena or people just probably call Cody, whatever. But you got to go out there and grind and make those friendships. And then luckily you left on great terms with your professors and they're still finding it for you. So it brings us all the way back to network. And just don't burn those bridges. I was lucky enough to, my old bosses, after I left Kryvac, they hired me several times to come out. And with my new business, they hired me to do different things and dig this up.
And that's good.
Yeah, you just got to keep those things. And no matter how much you wanted to leave with both middle fingers up, I'm never coming back. I knew it was better to just keep those relationships good. And then it benefited me, and it clearly benefited you as well, of just getting your name out there.
Yeah.
And so just don't be mean, people. Just bite your tongue whenever you have to, but keep those relationships strong. So how long was it before? Now, the Deep Ellum was a big one to you, right?
It was,
but that
pretty
was
huge.
That was this year. What happened in the later parts of 21 that were kind of substantial to you?
I painted another mural in Vernon, the hibiscus flowers.
Okay.
And that one was about 17 feet tall by 14 feet.
Cool.
So it wasn't like a large piece, but it was still, larger compared to ones that I've done that year. And then I came back to be a consultant for another project in Vernon for Ferdinand LeBlanc. He's actually a part of the Alliance now. So he's the new project manager for the Alliance.
Okay.
And he painted a man called Harvey Dean and his tamale truck, tamale cart.
Okay, cool.
So I oversaw that project and I got him going, and then I went to Denton to paint my project, and then I came back and I was like, do you need anything from me? And he's like, well, you could probably do this or help me with this. So my main job for that one was just to be there if he had any questions.
Cool. So you got to help people the way that people helped you.
Yes.
That is the full circle that I don't think everyone kind of takes into consideration while getting started, because you're so focused on I got to be the best backhoe, or I got to be the best artist, whatever your call is, but you don't understand how much you get to help other people when the time's right. And then how it almost naturally happens in the circle of business, those people helped you and you just randomly find them, or just random connections get you where you're going, and then next thing you know, you're helping someone you didn't even know 6 months ago, and you're becoming good friends with them. It's this is amazing, and you don't even realize it, but this is why people go into business, or a huge part of it, and or at least why people stay into business. So that's great that you got to go full circle and turn it around and help somebody else.
Yeah, no, it was awesome to be a part of that project, because that mural was also it's a very big staple of the Vernon community right now, because Harvey Dean lived there, and he
Now, who's Harvey Dean?
Harvey Dean, he sold tamales out of his cart, 50-cent tamales, and he put his sons through college selling tamales.
Nice. Okay, cool. And he's just a Vernon resident?
Vernon resident.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And whenever they had the dedication for it, some of his family members came.
Cool.
His sons, I think, were there, and
Is this man passed away now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And have you got to do any more mentorships, or counsel anybody or help anybody in the recent months or whatever?
Man, I'm trying to think of last year. Everything just blurs so much together. As time goes on, I feel like I had Marie, and her name was also Selena, help me with the hibiscus one. So they got some mural experience from that.
Did you help Marie get to the Knott Street or the Loco for Cinco?
I don't think so. I think she did that on her own.
Cool. But she got to help you and on a couple different things. So you helped her out in the very beginning, maybe, of her process as well. So it's just fun to get to realize that you have the expertise to help somebody else. And then you might not even realize it at the time, but you can kind of step back and be like, holy crap, I'm helping these people the way that so-and-so helped me. So
yeah, no, I definitely did not think I would be getting at this point.
right.
You know?
Yeah. And then it can happen so fast too.
Yeah.
And then that imposter syndrome can come up in that as well. Like, why are they entrusting in me or like looking to me for advice when I
Am
feel
I
like,
even that good?
yeah,
Like, you know?
exactly. And then when everybody else knows that you are, and they're like, yeah, stupid, of course you're that good. And then, but still you can be like, I don't know. I don't see it like you do. So it's a part of it, especially when you get to the skill set that you have that's like, oh man, this is new. Like it's a weird life because you didn't grow up in Bert just being like a very well-known, almost Insta-famous artist, you know? And so.
No, I did not. But I know like a lot of my classmates, they have seen like the journey of, because they knew me also like as a young girl, like always drawing Scooby-Doo. I'm sure if I share this podcast, they'll be commenting on like, oh my gosh, yeah, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So I drew a lot of Scooby-Doo. I drew a lot of like, I don't know, cartoons and stuff. So they remember me doing that.
Cool.
And then for a couple of them to see like where I'm at now, they're like, oh man, I always knew you were going to be like good. And you know, like that's really cool to hear like that past classmates are rooting for me.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's weird to realize how many people keep up with you. And especially some people don't even talk to you or like you don't interact with them that much.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, you're getting a shout out from them on Facebook and you're like, holy crap, thanks, man. Thanks for the recommendation. And you're like, I didn't even know that we were friends like that, but I got your back now too. So if I see something that can benefit you, I got you, you know?
Yeah,
so
no, 100%.
It's just crazy. And me and Kel talk about that too, because she has a lot of people come out of the woodworks and be like, you know, Kel, you're just killing this, or I'm signing up right now so I can work with you, or yada, yada. And it's just like that imposter syndrome comes out. But when you deserve it, you deserve it, you know? And it's just beating it into your head that you do deserve it. Exactly. So let's, what month did you go to Deep Ellum? And let's start talking about that, because I know this was a huge experience for you. I want you to tell about the name of that alley, or what they nicknamed that place, and then kind of just tell us about your experience with that.
Yeah, so at the beginning of 2022, I think it was in February, whenever I found this like call for artist entry. It was an application for to have a mural in what they call Blues Alley.
Blues Alley, yeah.
Blues Alley in Deep Ellum. So Deep Ellum is located in Dallas, Texas, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like the downtown of Dallas, but it's pretty close to it. And the first couple of phases that they had, I had already followed these artists because of this project. And whenever I applied, I was like, oh man, there's like no way I'm gonna get this. Because,
and you really looked up to these other people that had already done it.
Because I followed them for a while, and then I was like, oh, they actually did that. That's super cool. And you know, I was like, I'm nothing compared to, you know, these artists. I mean, you've mentioned some of them in passing to me. And whenever I applied, I was like, oh man, I like worked on my application for a little bit. Yeah.
So what was that or what was the process of you applying for this? Because like someone like me has no clue what you would have to turn in or submit to get even recommend, or you know, to get a chance to go in. What'd you have to do?
It was basically like, why do you want to work with us? What can you bring to Deep Ellum, and how would you present that?
Cool.
And then they
got high standards then.
And then they had me choose a musician that I would want to paint, and I chose a different musician at first, Bessie Smith.
Who?
She's a blues jazz musician.
Okay.
And then I wrote like, you know, like a really heartfelt paragraph of what I thought it would mean to me, and like how I would want to be a part of this project and the community that it was in. And
did you have to turn in some work and stuff too?
Yeah. So the application was completely different from like my images that I sent them.
Okay.
So I sent them a couple images of like past work that I've done, and like some paintings that I've done. like portrait work because they're looking for portrait artists to do this alley. Like the whole blues alley is like portraits of blues jazz musicians that have like shaped Deep Ellum or have performed in Deep Ellum as well.
Cool.
So whenever I got that gig, I was like, whoa, this is really stepping outside my comfort zone. I'm going to Dallas with the big dogs, with artists and muralists that I have followed for a year now. Like I'm going to be painting in the same vicinity as them. And, you know, being down there, it was just like any other, you know, painting gig. Like it was really fun. It was fun. It was natural. No one gave me a hard time. Good. I got to meet a lot of my artist people that I follow, and that was like super cool.
Yeah, and tell us what you told me the other day. I said, hey, I saw this guy that I thought you needed to follow, and then I click on him even more, and you were already following this guy, and then so tell us how your experience worked out with reaching out to somebody that you looked up to with that.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks before I headed down to Dallas to paint, I reached out to a couple of muralists that I have followed on Instagram. And one of them is You Can Call Me Alec, and the other one is Hatziel.
Cool.
And Hatziel is kind of like a graffiti artist, a stylized graffiti artist, and You Could Call Me Alec is also like a graffiti artist in a way, but he works with can and brush.
Okay.
Like, very correspondingly. And he does like a lot of portrait work as well, but he also does like a lot of animals and a lot of like expression brush strokes, while Hatziel is like kind of clean and cut and kind of like anime-ish or like cartoonish. Yeah. Very stylized, different approaches to art completely. So I reached out to the both of them. I was like, hey, I'm actually part of the Blues Alley phase, the last phase of the project. I am not from, Dallas, Texas. I am commuting from Wichita Falls, Texas. Is there any places that you would recommend for me to try out, to eat, like coffee joints, something really low key? I'm not in the party phase. But if there's any like restaurants I need to try, please like send me them. And, they both got back to me. Cool. And they were like, yeah, you should try out X, Y, and Z. Different restaurants, of course. And then You Can Call Me Alec. His name is Alec DeJesus. He's like, if you're ever like painting, let me know and I'll come out and I'll say hi. And Hatziel was the same way. And, one day I was out there painting, kind of like in the afternoon, and I met both of them, not in the same day, but like in that span of the 10 days that I was there, I met both of them. And
so you got that whole painting done in 10 days?
Yes.
Holy crap. You do paint fast.
10 days.
Yeah, you've really zoned in or honed in on your talent. But sorry to interrupt you. You keep going.
No, it's all good. And Alec was like, dude, you're so good. Like, this is so freaking badass. And I was like, whoa, that means a lot to me coming from an artist that I look up to. Yeah. And even whenever I met Hatziel, he's a little bit older. And he's like, how long you've been doing this? And I was like, about like a year and a half now, 2 years, something like that, like professionally. And he's like, you're really good. And I was like, woo.
Was it hard to accept hearing someone you looked up to tell you that?
It was kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like kind of unreal. And, me and him, we talked for several hours because he just kind of hung out while I was like painting.
Cool.
And it turns out like a ad agency was using the backdrop of his mural for a commercial. Okay. So he was waiting around for, the photographers and the actors. Okay. And the models to get there.
Cool.
And so he was talking to me for honestly 3 hours while I was painting. Nice. He was asking me like, where are you from? Like, how did you get into art? Who supported you? Like very personal, deep questions. And I really appreciated that about Hatziel. And then he was like, you want to go have some dinner with me and my son? I was like, absolutely.
Sure.
So he took me to a hole-in-wall like restaurant about 20 minutes away, and we had a good dinner. And he's He's like, if I don't see you again, good luck. It looks awesome. Can't wait to see the finished product.
That's awesome, man. I mean, and it just got to mean the world to you as a new and upcoming killer to have a veteran in your skill set to say those things and be so nice to you. It's one thing to even see people that you look up to and get to say hi to them, but for them to sit with you and admire your work and watch you work and just hang out and speak with you and then take you out for dinner. I envy you for your experience because it just sounds like fun, you know.
It was pretty cool.
That is awesome. And then so good for the community and what we're all figuring out. And I'm not saying I'm part of the art community, but as a culture, like, who would have thought that being nice to everyone works out for the best, you know, and just being nice and helping the people come up just like they got helped, hopefully. And so it comes full circle. And so, but good for you and awesome for your experience. And I'm sure that I hope it picked your shoulders up a little bit and gave you some confidence behind what you already knew was good, but hearing it from your peers and mentors, that I know it just put you on 10 or 11 after that.
Yeah, no, it was a really humbling experience to like talk to them, you know, and like hear them say, you do good work.
Yeah.
You know, that's not something I thought they would ever say.
Right.
And after, you know, I met them, I also met some of Henry Qualls, who is the man I painted, his family members. And they came out and they were like crying because they thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's a different thing entirely too.
Exactly. Yeah. For someone that maybe doesn't understand your job that well, to fully appreciate it for exactly what it is. That's amazing. And that was one of my questions, was you didn't go with that lady that you mentioned earlier, but Henry is who you ended up painting.
Yeah. So whenever they called me to tell me that I got accepted into the project, they asked if I would be okay with changing my subject matter. And, you know, I was like, yeah, of course. Like, you can assign me whoever you want.
I got you. So you don't have to be personally connected with who you're painting as long as it's going to end up being a good job. Like,
well, I chose Bessie Smith because I knew of her music.
Okay.
I didn't know who Henry Qualls was, like, until after or while I was doing this project.
Yeah.
And I learned more about him that way.
Cool.
And, you know, got to establish a relationship with his family members on Facebook. They all follow me on Instagram and follow me on Facebook now. And I think that's pretty cool. Anytime I share any artwork that's not related to the mural, they still share it.
Cool. They're just big Selena fans now. I mean, so did you end up getting paid for that gig? Was that a volunteer job?
Oh, I got paid.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. And then, I mean, you don't have to go into down to the pennies or anything, but like from when you started to now and those jobs earlier this year and last year, like, were you increasing your price as you knew your worth was getting better? Like,
yeah.
I mean, what went through your brain as to say, like, I need to be getting paid more for this? Like, this is a good entrepreneur question.
Yeah.
In order for someone to, you know, value their worth, what went through your brain to be like, all right, this is it, I'm increasing my prices?
Yeah, I slowly have been increasing my prices based on the experience I have been gaining and like the places I have been painting.
Right.
So I started out literally at $2 a square foot, which was literally nothing. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it now, I'm just like, why did I charge that pitiful amount? And now I'm at $30 a square foot.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Like a true queen killer. And I mean, part of that is for sure inflation, and every single thing that goes into your job is gone up probably times 3.
Paint, materials, gas, cost of living.
Yeah, exactly. And but you're no rookie, you know. I mean, you're technically new-ish into the field, just a couple of years under your belt, but you're not just fresh off the ground, you know. Your ears aren't green anymore. So, yeah, good for you for freaking raising your prices and knowing what you're worth. And it just takes that experience and also being like, wait, I'm not living as good in condition as I want to be. Like, I want to one day have a retirement plan, just like my friends at a factory do, or your nurse friends, whatever. Like, you want that, and you want to be able to buy a home one day for you and your family and provide for all your puppies and kittens and everything. So it's not fair for you being self-employed to have to scrounge by. But then also, I think it's just so cool with your stories that as your price went up, your art was already a 10, and it's just going up from there. So it's cool to see that, but it just comes with the experience, huh?
Yeah, and I was charging like the bare minimum for the amount of work I was doing.
Right.
And that was a lesson I have learned too.
Yeah, you kind of just don't know better. Unless like mom or dad or grandma was a artist that professional that got paid for it, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And it takes you being the first of a generation of professionals to know what to do. And then maybe one day if you were to ever have your own kiddos, or maybe you pick someone up that you mentor tightly, you're going to be able to start them on a tighter foot than you got on, so, and you'll have that experience under your belt just because all the groundwork and foundation work that you've done for yourself. So
yeah, that's true.
Part of it and part of entrepreneurship. So I wanted to bring up this. We keep talking about Loco for Cinco, an event that was it the city of Wichita or maybe the downtown Wichita Falls Association put on?
It's the same people who run the Day of the Dead event here in town. So they wanted to make one for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
And they wanted to put it on for the city of Wichita Falls.
Gotcha. And then I didn't get to go to the first actual event.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I saw people's pictures and I underestimated greatly how big of a fun event this was going to be. This looked like another established event like Cajun Fest, or it looked thicker and denser than like art walks and stuff. And maybe it was because it was centrally located where our art walks are all over downtown. And then, but it looked crazy. So did you start painting the day of the first Loco for Cinco, or did you start painting the day that I got to meet you on the art walk?
I painted the first day that Loco for Cinco happened.
So you got to jump on it then. And but I really wanted to bring up and hear this from you because I got to read it. Was it called your artist statement?
Yes.
And this is huge, and I feel like you can reach a lot of either young women or young Hispanic people because who you are is very important. And I want you to talk about what you wrote, and then let's kind of like pick at that a little bit and we can dissect it and just kind of tell us in a summary what your artist statement was.
Yeah. So my artist statement for the mural that I painted was basically me coming to terms with my Latin identity. I have often been bullied way too much whenever I was younger about being too white to be Mexican or like too white to be half Mexican. But I am, like, no one can take that away from me.
Exactly. It's your blood.
Yeah, like my mom is literally from Mexico, okay? Like, I'm not making that shit up.
Yeah.
And my grandparents, they came to America to give, my mom and my aunt and uncles a better life. And, now their grandchildren, have a better life.
Yeah.
And the great-grandchildren that will follow, not from me, but from my cousins.
Are beautiful. Yeah, that's a beautiful story.
And basically my mural had like elements of, me dissecting my Latin identity. So it was like a self-portrait of me, and it had the words like, I am Latina, like on the side, which is a big statement for me to make because I never really claimed, that word.
Just, do you think it's because you let outside influence kind of let you think like that? And it's just so bullshit because in today's day and age, I don't think people need to cling to what separates them or makes them different, but for sure you need to be damn proud of who you are as a person And that's 50% of who you are.
Exactly. And I, I spent a long time, coming to terms with that word, especially like in college. People would always tell me like, well, you don't even speak Spanish, so can you even call yourself, Mexican? I was like, do you not see how brown my mom is? Like, and or my grandparents, like they are literally, like I said, from Mexico. I can't make this shit up.
Exactly.
And I pass as a young white woman, which, I am, but like you said, it's 50% of me and the other is, from my mom. So going back to the elements of my mural, it was a self-portrait and then the words, I am Latina, which I never use words in my work. I hate doing lettering, but I thought that it was powerful enough to share.
Yes, I agree.
And then I had the dahlia flower behind me on my portrait, which resembled my mom, because my mom's name is Narcidalia, which is, derived from the Mexican flower, the dahlia flower.
Cool.
So in order to honor her and the half of me that she passed to me, she was behind me.
That's beautiful.
And it shined through. And then I had, like the color scheme as well played into part of the mural that's the colors of my grandparents' house. So my grandparents' house is now lime green, but whenever I was younger, it was like that orange terracotta and mustard and like the blue. I don't know. I don't want to be like, that's just how they are. But literally, my mom's house also was very colorful.
Yeah.
And, just not bland.
Right.
So the color scheme, the color palette, like, was also a part of the design process. And then a crescent moon to resemble my name. My name means goddess of the moon or moon goddess.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool.
That's cool. And then we have the Texas outline also behind me, and it like wraps in front of me.
Yeah, you did an amazing part of incorporating that, and it's almost like you're growing out of the Texas, you know, like a flower would in a pot.
Yeah, and in this like design, it has like a circle where my mom was born and like where they lived, and then there's a heart like right on the Texas and Oklahoma border, like where my grandparents are now. So it's like I am who I am because they came here and they have established a life here.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have come here, I would not be here right now.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And that Texas outline, were you just talking about the southern border?
Yeah, like the border between Mexico and Texas.
Okay.
And then the border between Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah, I mean you're full blown Texas because of that. Them coming from the bottom, and then you were born at the top, and then now you're kind of at the very tip of it. But that's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, and this was one of the main reasons why I gained so much interest in you and reading that statement. I felt like I got to know you through that, and then you even mentioned your partner saying like how you said people telling you can't even speak Spanish, so you're hardly Mexican, and you mentioned that, and she said that's not how this works.
Yeah, she said just because you cannot speak the language doesn't mean that you are any less part of the culture.
Yeah, exactly. And then so I felt like I got to get a glimpse of who your partner was to you because of that. So I was like, this is a badass couple right here. And then we only went over there that night to see what you had going on, and then luckily Britt was there too, and then Kel and Britt had already spoke, so they got to chit chat. And but I just thought that was so powerful reading that, and just I mean, it's a beautiful painting. But I think I made this connection after you and Britt came by the other day, and then I was so proud of my Frida Kahlo pillow in there.
Yeah.
But I think I really took to your painting across the street because you were doing a self-portrait, and I like Frida so much because she was almost obsessed with herself. And then did you ever watch Coco, that Disney movie?
Yeah.
And
Coco.
then how that's how I learned of Frida Kahlo. And she is talking about the show that they're going to do, and she was like, they're all seeds of a papaya, and the papaya's me, you know. And then, anyways, I like that about her. And then we were on Loco for Cinco, so then the Mexican heritage was coming out. Then we go and meet you, and I get to read your statement, and so much of that correlated. And I already like really liked her, and I've been Googling her art and stuff, and I was like, holy crap, that's probably why I took to Selena so much, because someone I already admired, who's legendary and is going to, die in fame, or she is past, but is always going to live in fame. I was like, we have a similar person here
man.
to it. Yeah. But I'm serious. Like, and I know you don't normally do self-portraits, but you were doing it at the time, and that's how I met you. And I was like, that's probably why I like Selena's stuff so much. Like, but anyways, just a powerful story. And I'm glad that, I feel like that was kind of you putting your foot down and you vocalizing how you felt about it.
It was a very personal piece for me to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the Local for Cinco event like was going on, like the big one, whenever my mom came by, my aunt also came by too, my mom's sister, and they read it and they were like in tears, and I was like, you don't have to cry. She's like, it's just, we're so proud of you. Like, this is who you've been from the beginning,
Yeah.
like you have always been a part of us.
Yeah.
But you're making a name for yourself.
Exactly.
And I don't know. It was just really important to have my mom come out there and see me paint, because she's never seen me paint live.
Oh, okay. She hasn't got to witness you doing the elbow grease.
And the working the magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She's only seen like the beginning product and then the end product. She's never seen like the in between.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, and that's something so intimate to you where I don't know if you do this, but I can get like in a work zone to where I almost separate a lot of work out of just like how we were talking about you getting in the zone.
Yeah.
And then you can just like not kind of correlate everything together. But then whenever your partner or like when Raquel would come watch me do different things, I'd be like, this is weird. My two worlds are colliding. And then so it's even more weird, or can be more personal whenever your parents see you do it.
Yeah.
And then, but how powerful and cool is that they're crying and watching you and they're so proud of you. And like, I don't blame them. All credits to you, Selena, because you killed it. You absolutely killed that project. And I felt like I learned who you were just from that mission statement, that artist statement. And I was like, I want to be friends with this girl now. And then that, I was already kind of kicking around that idea. I think it was that night I got to actually meet XIM.
Yeah.
And then he had asked what I was doing, and I was like, I know you're an artist. And he said, well, what do you do? And I had to kind of break the news. Well, I'm starting a podcast, but it's kind of weird, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about having some artists on here, but also thinking about doing a co-signment with it. And he was like, okay, cool. And then right after that, we basically walked to 9th Street and then got to watch you work. And I was like, I need to meet this girl. I need to talk with her. And then luckily you were so freaking nice to me to reply back. And then now we have like a real friendship.
Yeah,
we're actually buds out of this.
It's worked out the way it's supposed to.
Exactly. And it's worked out great. So I'm thankful for it.
Likewise.
But so that's a huge thing that just recently happened. But I know we're going to get to Vernon, but I could have... and when we do, you can for sure guide that conversation to how deep you want to go into that. And you pick and choose what we talk about with that. But I could have swore there was something else. What other cool things have you been doing? There was for sure the Deep Elm, for sure Vernon in 2020 that I knew about, and then 9th Street and Lamar.
I don't know.
I guess
I've done so much stuff.
Yeah, you have. I will say, I first heard of you, like I got to meet you when you were doing that, but I first heard of you you got to be a part of the Women's Forum, and they hung your
My
art
solo
up.
show, yeah.
And then, so what was the experience like that? What all did you get to talk in front of anyone? Did you get to tell your story, or did you just get to put some art up on the wall?
It was in the works for a while. They wanted me to have a show earlier in, I guess when did I have it? This year, right?
Yeah, I think it was earlier this year.
Okay,
because we went and we looked at it. But yeah, like you said, all the time.
Yeah, the original time where they wanted me to display artwork, they wanted it to happen August 2021. And at the time, I was just so busy. I didn't create any work. I was on the go all the time. And I told, Christine, the coordinator of the Women's Forum and of the Kemp Center, is like, I cannot give you a show in August. And she's like, well, the next available day is in February, which was fine, or like the end of January at that time. And so once things slowed down, like mural wise, I just got to work on paintings.
Cool.
So the time that I was not doing any like larger projects, I was just working on my own show and building my own portfolio that way. And it wasn't really like I have a personal connection to the show. Is more of, I just want to paint people and get them on the wall.
Yeah.
And I had like the news come out and, interview me about it.
Okay.
And about how I have, because my cousin works for the news too. So they know me through him and through the artwork that I've done, because they've interviewed me so many times. But they came out and like, yeah, I mean, how does it feel to like slow down? Like, you do murals and then you have a show like this. Like, I mean, it's really great. Like, it's a breath of fresh air for me, because I get to actually focus on stuff that I want to paint for myself.
Right.
And, normally whenever you do like mural work, it's what the customer wants, which I love to do. But sometimes you need to do stuff for yourself.
Yeah, like we were talking about with decompressions and everything.
Yeah. So my show was basically just me like wanting to produce more work and practice portraiture with acrylic paint, because I'm an oil painter.
Okay.
I used to mainly only work with oils, but since I don't have like a real studio to paint in, and I don't want to expose my dogs or my partner to the toxins of oil paint, I've had to like hone my artistic ability of using acrylic paint.
Gotcha. Just for basically for safety reasons.
Yes.
And you give a crap about the people around you.
Yeah, like oil paint is so toxic, and the stuff that you clean it with, which is mineral spirits in this case, like my brushes, like it just stinks.
Yeah. It's a weird problem to have, honestly, when you think about it. Like when I see you on your stories and stuff, like doing the Stranger Things characters and everything, I didn't even consider you being like, oh, I got to use X because of Y, So, I'm learning something right now just because of it. But so with these interviews that they would do with the news, like were they just like 5-minute deals, 10-minute deals?
Yeah, short things.
Okay, well, that's what with this I really want to get away from short, nervous, throwing somebody up on a stage and throwing them out to the wolves. Like I want to give people the floor to talk, but I want to help, guide the conversation. And then we're going on 2 hours and 50 minutes right now. But you couldn't do that if you're, at another place by yourself, just telling about things. So I want people to be able to know who you are and why you do this, and like the nitty gritty details of you, what pushes you to do it. But then also I want to know about your business as well, and how all these things are going, and just things that you would probably be any normal person be way too nervous to say up on a stage by themselves, or like with the news person being like, Selena, now what do you think about your stuff being in this place? Yada yada.
It's so nerve-wracking whenever you got a big camera pointed at you.
Yeah, and these are medium cameras, and no one's,
what they use is big cameras.
Yeah, and so and no one's like being pushy. We're just chit chatting. Luckily, we've been communicating the past couple weeks. And whether it be over serious stuff about what we're going to talk about with the podcast, or what you thought about the Stranger Things, like we just have built an easygoing friendship, and then it's really helped with the podcast. And then so it's just, I hope this helps, create brand awareness for you. And that was my whole goal with people's businesses. And then, cause like I was saying earlier this week, like I'll never be in a position, and I don't want to be, to pay people to come on the show, but I'm hoping that people learn about you and other business owners, and they're like, oh, I need to check that out. I want to buy some stuff from them. And then maybe someone doesn't need the art that you brought in today, but they're like, if she can do that, then I can pay her to do something else, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so they're going to get a good taste from things that I post. And then hearing this conversation, I just think people really love to hear stories and get to know people. And I was thinking of this example, like, do you ever finish, you just finished one show and you're in a couple days going to finish the second volume, but whenever you end a show and you're searching Netflix or YouTube trying to learn more, stay on that like genre or learn more about the people in the show, I feel like people can get a similar feeling with people like you or painters or artists. And I'm like, this is perfect to fit that. Maybe they can see you on Instagram and be like, I want to know more about that girl. Mm-hmm. And then luckily there's going to be a 3-hour conversation with you, and someone's really going to get to know, what makes Selena tick and what you do and who you are. And, you have a bunch of dogs and you have a partner.
I do have a bunch of dogs.
Yeah. And then and which y'all take really, really good care of. And so anyways, I've really enjoyed learning about you, and I hope that other people do too. And I hope that it increases your brand awareness. But we're not even close to being over because we have a big fish to talk about, basically. And then so you've been experiencing not problems, but you've been experiencing a new, let's just say it's a problem.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. A new problem in your career with this Roy painting. And it's the one in Vernon. We've been talking a lot about it. It's what helped get Selena to where she is now.
Right.
Just tell us what you told me and Kel the other day. Just walk us through what happened and where we're at.
I will leave out all the juicy details.
Yeah.
Just and because that's between...
You tell us what you're comfortable with sharing.
Okay, so basically my Roy Orbison project has suffered severe water damage and wind damage. Whenever, I get in April is probably whenever it first happened. So beginning of April, I wasn't even in town at the time. I think me and Brittany were in Chicago, and I get a text message from, I'll say someone in Vernon, about the Roy wall being destroyed by wind. So what happened was wind knocked the mural so badly that a chunk fell off. And it was like a chunk of his forehead, a chunk of the purple part that I painted, and some orange. Which if you see the mural like on your phone or like on a photo, you will know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And I told them, like, you really need to get the wall fixed before I get out there and paint anymore, because I'm just going to be honest, more chunks are just going to fall off over time. And
to put into context, this wasn't just a layer of paint, and it wasn't the brick that held the wall together. This was a covering of what you thought was cement. Or a stucco type of thing, and then that bonding material, that cement material, was coming off and taking the paint with it.
Yes. So it was what I thought was exterior stucco that I was painting on turned out to be interior plaster. So of course the mural suffered greatly on the inside, because the water was getting in behind this plaster, and it was causing it to unhinge from the brick and fall off and slowly in pieces. So they fixed it up top, but the bottom is even worse condition. There's cracks everywhere. There is holes where the water's gotten in and created these pockets between the plaster and the paint, the primer and the paint, and it's completely unpaintable. So next steps is they're probably going to remove it all, and I'm going to have to do it again. Scrape
the entire cement stucco off completely back to brick. And then, do you want to tell us about, because it's a good lesson for anyone that could potentially be in your shoes again. Do you feel comfortable telling us about, the conversations being had with dealing with, price points and what you can fix things for, and patching it rather than starting all over. Do you want to talk about any of that?
Yeah, I'll touch on some points. I told them, the city of Vernon, like, I don't mind coming back and painting it for sure. Like, that mural is a big part of my artistic career. It's a big staple in their community. It has gotten a lot of praise and a lot of recognition, like I said, nationally. It's a beautiful piece of art that has, like, really uplifted the community of Vernon. So like I said, I don't mind going back and fixing it, but we're running into the problem of budget.
Right, because what you told us earlier was the Art Alliance paid for this originally.
Yes.
And it was essentially like a gift to the city of Vernon.
Yes, it was.
And then so those funds were created, other routes rather than taxpayers of Vernon having to let their city councilmen decide to pay Selena. It wasn't like that. It was the Alliance paid Selena and gifted this work to the city of Vernon.
Yeah, the Alliance, I believe, got a grant for this project to happen. And, at the time it was like super cool, but now it's like not cool.
It's being a drain on your mental and everything else.
Yes. Without sharing too much, I'm not really sure, like, how it's all going to play out. I just know that I cannot sell myself short this time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a struggle.
And then so basically the best thing, like we just said, was they're going to rip all that cement plaster stuff off, and it's going to have to be redone. But my God, that was 3 people working for months on end.
Yeah, about 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months of just pure work. And I know that you're not working a first job anymore, but still that would take you plenty of time, and you'd still need find help. And like we were talking about with the grant, it's no longer grant money.
Yeah, it's not grant money
and
anymore.
So it's not big Papa State or federal money coming in, or however they got that. It would be the city of Vernon. And that really changes everything because, of course, budgets come in, and they have a tight budget. I'm sure that they're trying to be frugal with, like every government around here does.
Right.
But you can't do it for free.
I can't. And it would be hurting my integrity as an artist,
right,
if I did it for free.
Right. And then, we were kind of talking about this with other fields of work, and everyone finds themselves doing stuff for free, whether it be for friends or family or whatever. But you sell not your coworkers or not your competition, but the people that also do the similar type of work that you do. You sell them short as well, because say you built up a reputation of coming back or doing stuff for free, and they're like, well, I'm not gonna talk to John or whoever because he charges too much, when I know Selena will do it for basically for free. You hurt the entire industry when you do. I'm not saying you do that.
No,
if someone was to do that, and then I think that a lot of people need to know that when you sell yourself short, you're hurting the other people that do it, because you're just kind of giving a bad rap to pricing as in general. And I mean, other people sound like assholes whenever they get a realistic price of, hey, I'm a professional artist, I do this for a living, this is what keeps my lights on and feeds my family. And then say the other person is a hobby painter or works at PPG and then paints on their free times. Like it's not the same, and you're not playing by the same rules, because you're not getting a check at the end of the week from another person. So I think we talked about local painters around here doing things just out of the kindness of their hearts and paying for their own materials around town. And I know that people want to get their name out, and sometimes you do what you want to do, but
you gotta pay your artist, man.
You got to pay your artist. And then that brought us into a conversation of this of our city wanting to be an arty and like in touch with artist city, and basically just exploiting them for their work and their talents, when we're all coming to a realization that's where this great exit of people leaving corporate jobs and working for themselves is like, I don't want to be exploited anymore. And then so that boils down to the painters as well. Like, I mean, I'm not going to tell y'all what to do, but if you heard anything from this, stop doing stuff for free because you need to have integrity and you need to make these people pay because you're probably talented at what you do. And so
not to mention your time is valuable.
Exactly. And you can't just slap a portrait up in a day, you know, if you can, and probably not that good of a portrait. But what I'm getting at is just have some self-respect and know you can put your foot down. If you need to be paid for something, don't do it unless you're going to get paid for it, you know? And so you're just hurting other people's pockets whenever they think, oh, I can just go to John because John does it for basically for free, and Selena's just way too expensive, and I don't want to have to deal with her, and yada, yada, yada.
But a lot of people don't realize, like, I have spent years perfecting this.
Exactly.
Craft
You
to do
went
this.
to school to learn better.
I went to college for this. I have been doing this for many years. Like, I have spent years to do a craft that could take me less time to do.
Exactly.
Is basically the way that I can put it. Like, the Roy wall now, I'm sure if I were to redo it, it won't take 2 months this time around.
Right. Yeah. And you know how to do it, and you're not working that other job to slow you down. But yeah, that comes with experience, and experience comes with a price tag on it. And I mean, that's the nature of the game. You know, you're not going to get mad at your mechanic for fixing your car and being like, what do you mean I owe you money? I thought you just do this because you like fixing cars.
Exactly.
No one's going to say that.
Or like going to a doctor and be like, hey, can you do this for me? I'll pay you like $5 and I'll let people know how good you are.
Yeah.
Doctor.
I'll give you a shout out, bro.
Yeah, no, that's just not how it's going to work. My friend, the one that actually helped me on the Roy mural originally, Krissa, we've been chatting on Instagram, and she's back in the Caribbean now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she was like, she said something that I was like, ooh. She said, business is business until it's an artist involved. Until there's an artist involved. Because people don't take the art seriously, but art is a luxury. Like, not very many people can do good art.
Right.
And, you know, like, not very many people can, like, weld really well. Like, you know, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's a learned skill.
Exactly. And with, like, now there's art when it comes to carpentry and welding and stuff, but you know, I know all you welding guys. I watch y'all, and I'm friends with a bunch of you. You know for a fact 2 pieces of pipe are 2 pieces of pipe. And there are always going to be 2 pieces of pipe that they can weld together. And, yeah, situations may change or whatnot, but one mural versus another is 2 different animals every single time.
Especially if it's on a different surface.
Exactly. You could paint this building. Oh, just like the setup on 9th and Lamar. You can paint on the left side of the wall and then turn around and go to that building on the right side, and then it's going to be 2 different problems. You know, the sun hits them different. The buildings deteriorated differently, and all these different things. So that's a good and hard saying that your friend said is when it comes to the arts, but it's a trade, you know, or it's a trade, and it's a skill set. And just like people pay high dollars, I've paid welders, and God, they're not cheap. So why should somebody that's working with their hands in a different way be cheap?
Exactly. And I'm doing the same thing with my hands.
Exactly.
It's just not, you know, I don't know, like hard work. People don't think it's hard work, but I'm telling you guys, working in the sun, getting sunburnt, getting dehydrated, that's hard on your body.
Exactly. And
working with your hand like this, like you get some muscles out of it.
Exactly.
But it's hard labor.
And I mean, I know everybody, I'm sure anybody that would listen to this and anyone that I'm friends with could probably name a couple welders or carpenters or whatever, but everybody that is good enough to read a book knows artists, famous artists, whether they been dead for 300 years or they were popular a couple years ago, whatever. Everybody knows artists, so it's like what a dumb thing to not take serious. And it could be worse in our community of just around Wichita because we like to live in the past and we're not very updated on cultural things. And this is something I was talking to my dad about was we're of a culture of just get it done as cheap as possible, and it doesn't matter about looks. Just make sure it's functional. Yeah. And then we were talking about our county's very lucky that they got federal grant money given to them, and they had to decide what they were going to use that grant money for. And luckily, they've been using it for updates on our courthouse and bringing it into the 21st century. But also, our courthouse is very beautiful once we take the crap that we've added 40 or 50 years onto the building. Once you start stripping that away, you see that old architect come out. Yeah. And anyways, my dad was saying it was such a blessing to them that they didn't have to try saving up this money of our taxes go to. They didn't have to budget that in order to beautify our courthouse. And anyways, what I'm getting at is that we benefited from this federal grant, and they could put it towards art type or beauty type of things. And I was like, that's good, because our whole community is just so out of touch with making things pretty, and I think we need to get away from that, because 40 or 50 years ago, or maybe 100 years ago, people were laying the foundation, doing the hard work, and getting the city built. Well, now it's built. And then now we have a functioning and proper town. Why can't we make it better and make it prettier? And then people say that they want art and want to do these things. Well, let's start taking it more serious then. If we're going to have an art walk every single month, let's take it serious and let's pay some people. Let's get them paying jobs. And it's going to take people like the Alliance and other groups around here that are slowly getting more and more traction to actually, get people like you better commission jobs here and actually being involved and putting some money where their mouth is, rather than just being like, yeah, go do it. We can't give you that much money to go do it, but go do it. Yeah. And so it's going to be a growing thing, and it's going to be people our age, a little bit older, getting into more prominent positions and being like, no, we can have nice things. It's okay for us to spend money on nice things and nice looking things. It doesn't just have to be cut and dry and get it done. Right. And so it's a culture thing, and we just live in the past here, but we're growing, and it shows signs of opportunity. And I just read a post earlier today from someone I like. He's a goofball and very outspoken with no filter, but he said this place is full of potential. It's just led by a bunch of idiots right now. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but this place is, and it's not the sucky town that we've been lied to our whole life that it is. We just haven't been utilizing it the right way.
It's a good way to put it.
And once we get people like you and some of your peers to come through and have some real art and some real pieces of Wichita Falls put into place. Like I say that being like the talent of Wichita Falls, and that you can see it and we can be proud of it. Then we're going to start having change mentality and being like, yeah, this is cool. We need to take our kids around here and show our kids that girl that was on that guy's podcast painted this deal, and you need to follow her on Instagram, yada, yada, yada. It'll come around. We just got to keep talking about it. We got to keep encouraging people. And luckily we have prominent people like Becky Reiki. She owns and operates her own business and studio, and she's a killer in this environment. And then like my property manager, Cody Magana, he's in downtown. I think he's either the president or maybe, I know he's on the board at least, of downtown Wichita Falls. But it's taken this 30 to 40-year-old age to come into place and then be like, we can do better for our town. And then they have, Wichita Falls downtown has really come back to life slowly.
It for sure has. Whenever I was in college, there was nothing like this. Like it has progressed so much, and I'm so proud that it has.
Yeah. And because how long has the art walk been around?
Oh, I think it's fairly new. I think maybe 2 to 3 years.
Okay, so even newer than what I thought. Okay, yeah. So it just takes innovative ideas like that, and it's free to set up, right? To get a spot, and then all you have to do is just speak with somebody on downtown Wichita Falls to just reserve a spot, I think, is all you have to do.
Maybe not 2-3 years. I don't know, 4 or 5 maybe.
Yeah, 4 or 5 is what I was thinking.
Still fairly new.
We can figure it out, and then it's just a quick Google search or Facebook search. But yeah, I mean, we're encouraging new people to come in, and you can set up shop, and you probably don't have to have a permit to set up shop at all. And on this art walk, and we're encouraging new stuff, and I think it's going to start downtown. I think this is kind of cool because the city started right here in downtown on the railroad tracks and the Holt Hotel and all these things, and we just grew from here. And then Bethania Hospital went just right down the road from downtown, and we grew out this way. Well, and then I feel like the city kind of died a little bit, and then just went. I don't know if it's a recession or just different cultural things, but it just nothing fun happened here for a really long time. And then it's starting back in which downtown of just people wanting to do more and revitalize, and people like Becky and Cody being very involved with it and pushing the envelope and seeing things through. And this guy that owns the property right across the street that they're remodeling right now, not the oil and gas, but the petroleum building right here, and he owns Big Blue and something on Indiana Street. But it's guys like him coming in and being like, okay, we're gonna invest the money, we're gonna make this nice again. Because Cody McGonia was trying to tell me 10 or 20 years ago, the real estate market down here was nothing. You couldn't even get people to buy stuff down here. And then now I feel like it's getting a lot more aggressive, and people don't want to give up good properties because we're starting to get interest again. So I feel like we're going to start on 8th Street and Scott in the heart of downtown. I think that's where the grassy knoll is. Everyone likes taking pictures at, and it's just going to grow from there. And we're going to build as a community first and uplift people like you and people like Cody and Cody Slater, and then just start here. And it's going to hopefully outreach to Kemp and to Kell and to the more modernized Wichita, uptown funk,
uptown of Wichita Falls.
And so it's kind of interesting to see time not replaying, but doing the same thing. We're starting back at home plate and then growing and going to grow out. I saw a comment on Facebook earlier that someone said it was about the goat scooters. Oh, yeah. And people were complaining about them, yada, yada. And then people
always complain
about everything. But someone had said, people go downtown, LOL. And I was thinking, that's a guy that's out of touch. And that's that is the type of person that hates on Wichita and says nothing good happens down here, because someone has invested a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of love into bringing those scooters in. And then you have losers like that just crapping all over someone's dream, which is a fun thing. I don't know if other people have gone to OKC or like Dallas and other places, but riding those scooters are a fun thing to do. And so it's a great innovative thing to bring to town. So as soon as someone with the innovative idea gets, laughed at, it's like, oh, that's why we're living in the Stone Age, because we have haters everywhere. But I hope the guy that owns Go and other people just block them out. And just keep doing what they want to do, because there's a real want and need to see this place grow. And I'm all for it. That's part of the podcast, or reason for the podcast is let's take Wichita Falls, out of Wichita Falls and get the word out. I told you and Britt the other day that I'm starting local, where I know people that I can reach out to, like you and Britt and Raquel and my dad and people like that. And we're just going to grow from there. Mm-hmm. We're going to help the city grow, and we're going to watch it and tell everyone about it growing. And I'm just going to keep this place up to date. And then while it's, coming back to life. So we don't have to, we all know that the city's like a Republican city. And it's very, very, very conservative. Our county's conservative, our city's conservative. And it doesn't have to turn into like a crazy, weird liberal place like Oregon or Washington that's like scary just to have nice things. We can find a good balance of like reallocating funds for good things. It doesn't have to everything go back into savings just for a rainy day because maybe the city has a bad water main leak and we have to fix a whole mile of road. Like, we don't have to do that. We can spend money on the good things. We can, pay people like Selena to beautify our place. So it'll happen. It'll happen one day. And I bet you're going to be at the forefront of it. And I want to be there too. And I'm going to be rooting for you the whole way too. Anytime you get a good commission here in
Thank
town.
you.
Yeah. And then so, did we miss anything? Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you really want to get off your chest or?
No, I don't think so. I just think the main takeaway point for other people who are listening, just don't disregard the arts. It's really important to communities. It's really important to people in general.
Yeah.
What we do is important too.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, because how much appreciation do girls and guys get like on TikTok for just doing like makeup?
Well, it blows up.
Yeah, people love just this, and all they're doing is painting their face. Like, why can't we have the same amount of respect? And I think that the internet for sure respects people like you, and you find your love through them, and it'll grow. It'll come back to Wichita, and then we're gonna support more people like you, and it doesn't just have to be painters. There can be some new architects coming in. I'd like to see some buildings come back to life or get a new life put back in them, whether it be masonry work or concrete work. That I just think that it'd be nice to see some new, not new buildings, but just new life brought back into buildings.
Yeah.
And then but paintings and murals are a great way to do that. So, I mean, any last words for, say, a young Selena listening to you, like anything you wish you could have heard whenever you were getting started on your journey that you could share to somebody else?
Man, don't listen to the people who tell you can't do it.
Good.
That's pretty much it.
Exactly. Follow your heart. Follow your heart, and then don't let them haters, crap on you. So, tell everybody how to get a hold of you, all your socials. Don't give them your number because I don't know what this podcast will ever do. So, but tell them where to follow you and how to get a hold of you, and if say they want to commission, how to get a hold of you as well.
You can reach me at my email, my Instagram, or my personal Facebook is fine. Like you said, no phone numbers for right now. But my email is selenamize@gmail.com. So it's SELENAMMIZE@gmail.com. And then my Instagram handle is the same thing, literally, without the Gmail at the end. So at Selena M. Mize. So it's basically my name. And then you can find me on Facebook as my name too.
Nice. And then I think your email's on your Insta.
Oh, yeah.
They're right there under your bio.
It's attached to my Insta.
And then you have your website on your Insta too, don't you?
Yeah. And my website is on my Instagram too. So probably the best point of action is to go through my Instagram.
There you go. That's how I found her. And then she does check her request, or her message request, because that's how I got a hold of her too. But this was amazing talking to you, and I don't know if we got it out enough, but with this conversation right here, Selena brought me art to my office, and I'm going to start a art consignment, and we're going to help people and help people get their art to more eyes. And I know Selena's got way more followers than me right now, but maybe I can reach a new just revenue streams for her and other people. But I'm going to upload this to upload her art to my Instagram and then on my website. And so if it's something that you like, or maybe you just see her style and then think that she can do something for you more personalized, then reach out to me, reach out to her. And so Texas Barons Art on Instagram, and you're going to be able to see everything that she brought me. And then I have some super cool people coming in, and we're not going to make that. I'm not going to make that much money from selling them selling their products yet, but we're going to get some clout going and hopefully help people off their feet or get them into a new audience, yada, yada, yada. You get it. But give us a follow, give Selena a follow, and reach out to her if you like this conversation. But if you did, like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I really had fun, Selena.
I had a lot of fun too.
I'm glad that we've made this friendship. So
me too.
I can't wait to watch you grow, and I got your back always.
I appreciate that, Levi.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.